Hello, and welcome to Scuttlebutt, the War Movie Review Podcast. We're happy to have you with us as we take a look at films from the dawn of cinema to today. We aim to provide a raw and unapologetic review of each film's cinematography, historical accuracy, and delivery. In the process of analysis, certain details will be revealed. These spoilers are only divulged to ensure a fair assessment of each film. We head to the Congo this week with Richie Smyth's 2016 Congolese Civil War epic, The Siege of Jadotville. As always, I'm joined by Mike A.
Hello.
Mike B.
Yep.
Nate.
Bren is the best sniper ever.
And this week's special guest, Chris, a data scientist at the Space Force. Thanks for joining us, dude.
Thank you. Welcome. Happy to be here.
So, how did they use the Space Force in this operation in 1961?
If I were to tell you, we'd have to nuke your area. Sorry.
Fuck. Well, I mean, you
Oops.
know, it's been pretty hot recently, so I'd be okay with that.
True.
But thanks for joining us, dude. And
Thank you.
yeah, this is a interesting movie. So, who wants to start?
Well, who first of all, who has seen this before and who has not? So
I
who has
had
seen
not.
this?
I've seen it.
Okay, so us three, and then Chris and Mike A have not seen it before.
No,
I
I've
had
seen
not
this
seen it.
plenty of times.
Oh, you have.
Yeah,
Michael's
that's why
the odd
we're
man
raising
out.
our hand.
Oh, okay. So who has not seen this? Let's just do that. So Mike A, and then the rest of us have all seen it. Okay, that's I
probably what
fucked
you
that
should have
up.
asked.
Of course, of course.
You can
Leave
cut
it to
that
me
out.
to fuck something easy, simple up.
No, I'm gonna leave that in. He needs to own it.
He needs to
no,
learn.
definitely leave it in. Definitely leave it in.
Put
I fuck
one
up a
foot
lot,
in
yeah.
front of the other.
Don't. We're not going there. We're not doing that. But Mike A.
Yes.
So you're the only one that hasn't seen this. Mm-hmm. Cool. I have not seen it in a few years, and then now that I have a different perspective on like filmmaking and like kind of like behind the scenes shit, it was a different film, even though it was the same film that I watched. Nate, what about you? Just for that aspect, like, what do you,
Yeah.
have you so you've seen it before, and then
Yeah, I remember when it came out, and I thoroughly enjoyed it when it came out. Other than and I'll make it very quick. That whole Bren scene, yeah, it feels ridiculous, but I do understand the tact, what it like.
Sure, we
I
can
understand the
discuss
point
that.
of it.
Yeah.
It's just the way it was filmed. I think makes it cheesy for me, so that's why I laugh at it. But no, I mean like that's the only part of that film that really stands out as kind of like okay. But
Okay.
no, for the most part, the film holds up pretty well.
Bri.
The Brent thing happened. That actually did happen in the actual siege. Yeah.
But the way he's talking about the way it was shot, and we'll get to that.
Oh yeah, no, I know. It seems
We'll get to that.
it seems odd and out there, but it actually did happen like that, or
Yep.
it did happen at least. But
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
No,
but
I
Brian,
could totally understand the reason. Like it makes sense. You know.
yeah.
it's
and
an
so
age bar,
Brian,
you know?
what were your first thoughts of from when you've seen it before to now? Like was there anything that changed or yeah?
I've seen this movie twice now, and the
Same.
first time I saw it, I really liked it to the point where I'll grab it in a minute. I made a replica helmet from the film, actually for the real Irish guys that were at in the Congo. They had Mark I helmets that were blue, and they also had Turtle 4 helmets that had UN on the front, because the Irish were there for a very long period of time. But I liked it a lot the first time I saw it. I even talked to friends about possibly like getting an Irish impression together for this, and it was like yeah, petered out, whatever. And then I saw it again, and it doesn't hold up at all, and it's a much different movie, and I was kind of disappointed, to be totally honest. So,
Is that because you've learned more about it, or like a historical? Or are you talking about movie?
I knew the same bit about historically. It was just
Okay.
filmography is a lot different, like
Yep.
the way it's shot and everything.
Same with me.
Like,
Yeah.
So
I
we'll talk
mean,
about that
it
later.
just turns into like the American Civil War in the middle of Africa, and it's just like I don't know. But I was a bit disappointed. But the uniforms and the gear and all that stuff is amazing. It's really well done. Even the jet's correct, and like that aspect of it was really good. But it's just the filmography, the cinematography that really lets it down for me. And it's like, really, you get all this cool shit, and then you fucking playing in a sandbox. So.
Yeah, I in terms of someone who just today saw this. It was I don't know, it's kind of becoming like formulaic now. I was like, okay, this kind of reminds me of like 1898, that movie we watched. It's
Yep.
kind of like Joy Noel. It's kind of like some of the other films that we've seen where it's like it's about a very specific real life thing. and we're gonna build a movie around that kind of. And I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was all right. You know, there were some things in it that were kind of questionable. I mean, like I saw where it was going. I mean, I didn't look up, you know, the facts or anything like that, but I was like, okay, I'm guessing this is going to be a surrender movie. You know, it's gonna be about the tenacity of, like, you know, the fact that they kept fighting, kind of like, you know, the 1898 movie and some of the other things we've seen, and but there were some things in it but they were like really little minor things. I'm like, what? Like, there's a Wilhelm scream in it. I'm like,
I heard that.
What the fuck?
Yep.
Like, what year is this? 1985? Like, what is going on? You know, like.
And it's a random dude on the side.
Right, and I'm like, okay, this
so,
movie
yeah.
is like really fucking serious, and then you have that? Like, what's wrong with you? And then there was a couple stock sound effects that I heard.
Yeah,
So-
definitely me too. We'll
Right,
talk about
yeah.
all that shit, but like, yeah, it's that's what it is. So, Chris, why don't you give your initial thoughts really quick?
So I don't have, obviously, the cinematography background that you guys have. So I liked it. I do think the Bren scene where they're trying to shoot down the jet is just kind of like odd. But then you like read the history behind it and like they're using it and you're like, right? Is that the one? Was that a Bren?
No,
That's not a Bren. That's what it is.
Talking about the sniper scene, yeah.
Oh, where they picked off the fucking the Colonel Sanders knockoff.
Yes, that guy. Yes.
Okay.
He was supposed to be like the Colonel Kurtz knockoff, like if you want to go like
Yeah.
African history, but I love that. Yes, the Colonel Sanders.
Colonel
without the
Sanders
cane,
knockoff.
you know?
Colonel
Yeah,
Sanders in Africa, yeah.
Yeah. Fucking the search for more chicken or fucking whatever.
Well, there was a sign at the end of the film where they have poussin fritters, like fish fritters. Maybe
Yeah.
that was his game, you know. It's like
Not
fried
anymore.
fish, motherfucker. Yeah, right. You know.
So yeah,
I
but go
got
ahead,
point
Chris.
303 reasons why he's not breathing.
So I don't have a like weapons background like Mike does, so like I'm gonna probably say all the shit wrong. So I liked it.
It's totally fine.
I understand the plight, I think, of the soldiers and like the bullshit that they're having to go through. And I think that's probably why I resonated more with it, because oftentimes it's you and all of your buddies are trying to do something that you think is noble, but the people above you that are politically aligned or all of that shit, like once you start getting to like general officers and that stuff and you have more political aspirations than actually doing what's well for your people, and you can just see how they're getting fucked over and over and over. And same thing with like Mogadishu in the 90s, right? They had asked
93.
for like 93, right? Like the colonel on the ground asked for light armor because they knew it was going to be a shithole, and then Washington's like, nah, dude, like that's gonna be too high profile. Yeah, what the fuck are we doing? Like, it's going to be high profile. Give us what we need. Or like the restrictions that Congress and everything put on the United States Air Force when we were doing like bombings in Vietnam, right? There was only certain all of our legitimate targets that are technically legitimate by Geneva Convention standards. A small subset they allowed us to do, and it's just like, well, fucking A, like. Yes, let's fight a war with both our hands behind our back and fucking eye and blind. Like, it doesn't make sense. Politics needs to be out of whatever kind of military operations you're trying to do. And it frustrated me to see them get fucked over. And, like, knowing that in the end no one died kind of, like, is like, I don't know how the fuck they did that. The people, like, the leadership on the ground fucking knew exactly what to do and how to get it done. And, I don't know. Kind of the same as, like, when our vets were coming back from Vietnam and, like, everybody here, all the boomers were fucking like spitting on them and all that kind of shit. And then, you know, the same treatment they had, right? Called cowards and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, you have no idea what the fuck they went through, you know? And it's just looking back. I mean, obviously history is 2020, but boils my blood a little bit seeing that kind of shit happen. So
Yeah. So you got a good emotional reaction out of the entire film.
Yeah, I think so because of like my military background, right? Being Air Force, Space Force, and that kind of stuff. I mean, like, not Army, not having to do any of that kind of stuff. I scored high enough on my ASVAB to have a choice, and I chose,
Okay, fuck stick.
and I chose air conditioning. But like, I can resonate with them, right? Like, of the shit that they have to go through.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and you because you know how the politics game is played, and you know how the upper management, you know, mixing with politics is like that's exactly what they showed, I think, in this.
Oh,
film,
100%.
It's
And
like you guys are not there on the ground. You guys don't know what the fuck is going on. You guys never been there. and you think you know, and then you're not going to help them. Yeah, it was very. That's a good point because it's very frustrating for me to watch too because I'm just like.
I think
Yeah,
my one why I get through with the military stuff is because I have like a specific specialty in data science. And so I'm completely okay with being promoted to civilian. So I just tell people how I feel. I'm like, yeah, that's dumb, and like we shouldn't be doing that. Stop using pie charts, you fucking like no. And if a colonel wants to go, well, we're gonna take you off orders. I'm like, cool. Like, good luck finding someone else to do what you need them to do. Because I'm cool with being a civilian.
There's not a lot of people like that in militaries around the world, and obviously there wasn't that because that general, I forgot his name. Brian, do you remember his name? The guy in this film.
Something Irish.
But the general that he was talking to, because I'm pretty sure he was a major, might have been a lieutenant colonel. Sorry, Irish Defense Forces guys. So yeah, that's a good point. So yeah, it's really a fucked up film. But yeah, anybody else?
Has Nate said his thoughts?
Well, no, we did kind of a
I-
rapid fire initial thoughts. I think.
I have
Unless you
something
wanna-
totally off topic, but Chris reminded me for some reason when he had mentioned like tying guys' hands in Vietnam. I had a relative of mine who was a Navy pilot in the early 60s. He got out in like 64. And this is really random, but we were at dinner once and he was just like, "Oh, so you want to know how we used to seed the rivers with fucking when we couldn't in Vietnam?" And I was like 10. I'm like, "What?" "Oh, what you do is," and like he like went into talking about how they would like drop magnetic mines like into the channels in North Vietnam that would like go to Hanoi or whatever. And like, yeah, and then the fucking barge would go over and they blow up. And nobody would know because you do it a certain way. And I'm like, oh, so thanks for telling me this. But long story short, it's like, you know, even though they do have these things that are put in place, a lot of times the guys on the ground do get around it. And in a way, you do see that a little bit in this film. You know, it's a like hold, and you're like, well, we have to follow orders, so we're going to do that to a T, like whatever we can. There's always like a workaround in a way.
Malicious compliance.
Yeah. But random, but I don't know. I just thought about that. Fucking crazy relatives.
The only thing I was gonna say was the major's his name's Roose Bolton. Might be.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the guy.
No,
yeah.
So he's a major. He's a major, right? So I was
I know.
correct.
Yeah, his name's Major Roose Bolton.
I wonder if Roose Bolton from fucking Game of Thrones is named after
That's-
him.
That's no. That's my joke. I don't know his name. It's just
Fuck
Roose
you,
Bolton.
Nate. Fuck you. Everything you stand for and your goddamn shit
Nailed you
beard.
both. Both of you
Fuck
there.
your shit beard.
I got
Fuck you.
I got your joke immediately, Nate. It's okay.
Yeah, no, thank you. I saw Mike A get it. Yeah.
Well, I half got it. And I'm like, are you fucking with me? You could be serious, but I know that name from Game of Thrones.
Because it's that actor.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know who the historical guy is. I'm going.
But it actually is him. Yeah. So that's.
Yeah, it's the
Yep.
actor who plays him. Yeah. No, I mean, like I'll launch into my quick little thing. I mean,
Yeah.
what I kind of want to talk about. I mean, I do agree with Brian's statement of it kind of rewatching it. Although I do still like it and I do still enjoy it. I do see its budgetary issues and the way it was filmed. It does have that kind of like what you said, Mikey, that kind of Joe X Noel.
Charles.
I'm doing it on purpose. You're welcome.
Yes.
And
I
you know, 1898 kind of vibe where it's that kind of lower budget, but I don't know what it is. It's like that cinematography kind of has those problems where it just you can kind of see where kind of like the budget is set. That being said, though, you know, it is very impressive to see, you know, all the weaponry in it, all even the jets, even if they're CG or not, they're really well done in that sense.
It's also FAL porn.
Yes, FAL porn and all that kind of stuff. But the thing is, I'm going to say, then I'll end it real quick, is that when it's CG and very blatant CG, you can tell.
Oh, yeah.
I will say that I did enjoy all the practical effects, all that kind of stuff. Even if it was blowing up sandcastles, it's, you know, it was still fun to watch and enjoy. But I can see where its faults are, and I think that comes down to a budgetary issue. And I'm gonna look, I'll let Brian go right after this, but I'm gonna look up the budget. I'm gonna look up the company, see if there's a connection between that right now, because I was thinking about that as Brian said that. But those are my only kind of gripes with the film. I mean, I enjoyed the story. I enjoyed, even though it was predictable, I enjoyed the story. I enjoyed the guns, and I enjoyed, you know, some of the stuff, but. That mortar kill with the trucks that does still bother me.
We're going to talk about a lot of
was
that
pretty
fun
good.
shit. in a
Yeah,
little bit.
Brian, go ahead.
So yeah, one thing I will touch on before we get any deeper is the history behind this and everything, and it's actually very interesting, and it's something I actually didn't like about the film. So after Second World War, empires have basically ended and they're crumbling, and all around the world, decolonization occurs. In Africa, takes a few years to heat up, but by the late 50s, early 60s, it's really revolutions are working their way down from the north part of the country. And it starts in the mid 50s, like the Suez Crisis in 56, and it really ends in the 90s when you have the end of the apartheid government in South Africa. So it's literally 40 years of a slow burn revolution in Africa throughout all these countries. And the Congo was one of the very early big flashpoints. There's all this crazy shit that happened, A lot of mercenaries that ended up a lot of soldiers that ended up at the end of the Second World War without a job and didn't want to go back to their countries ended up joining the French Foreign Legion or other things and ending up going to other wars across the world. Indochina, there was a lot of foreign soldiers, Germans and Russians, and a lot of guys, again, that couldn't go home. A lot of those guys after Indochina didn't know where to go, so they went to Algeria. They went all over the world. And so in the early 60s, late 50s, you have this crazy amount of skilled combat mercenary guys from conflicts all over the world, that are in Africa and they're guns for hire. And it was a lot of Belgians, a lot of Rhodesians, and a lot of French, I believe, that were at this one. But so yeah, by the late 50s, early 60s, Congo starts to heat up. And Katanga is the most southern province of the Congo, or the Republic of Congo, I should say.
No, it was the Congo at that point. It wasn't the Republic of Congo.
Yeah, it was the Belgian Congo, and Belgium, obviously, King Leopold fucking really did his sway. And this is the part of Africa where the Heart of Darkness comes out of. So good to note. But anyway, they basically end up with a war of resources. And there wasn't this fucking, national conspiracy. Yes, Katanga is rich in resources, but nobody gave a fuck about it. I really hated in the movie how they're just it's a proxy war. No, it wasn't. Not by any fucking means. It was a place that had good resources that was undeveloped. It's not, they're trying to make it Angola or Vietnam or Korea. It's no. And the reason for that, I believe, is because, again, you have to conceptualize these films. It's a film about Irish soldiers in combat. And there's probably this many times that Irish soldiers have been in combat in the last 150 years. Or sorry, I should say since the inception of Ireland in 1923. So you have this this strange way of them trying to build up this to fall into a Cold War series of events, but it's really not true, And the Irish, since they've been part of the UN, have a tradition of doing peacekeeping operations all throughout the world. Most recently, for the last, I think, 15 years, they've been doing a lot in Lebanon. And I have a friend who is an Irish national who lives in the States, and his brother's in the army, and he's done 3 or 4 tours in Lebanon. So Irish peacekeeping is a very common thing. But yeah, so the whole Katanga thing, it really led into this, breakaway province. And the Belgians were the ones that actually asked the UN to arrive because there was all these Belgian citizens that lived in this old Belgian colony, the Congo, that were afraid for their lives because of the slow burn revolution that was occurring. So that's why they brought the UN there. And there were multiple different forces of UN. There were Swedes, there were Indians, there were Irish, and they all would trade off in different, tours, I believe. It was a year tour and everything. So leading up to Jadotville, the year before, you have a crazy, incredible fighting. Whereas a town, I think 10 or 15 miles north of it, they had a huge siege. And there's some great photos of Swedes and Irish guys setting up Vickers guns on overpasses and shooting the shit out of mercenaries. But yeah, so that's what slowly led into this siege, basically. And the way it happened, and they kind of talk about it in the movie, but not really, was that they had this operation that they went on to attack the mercenaries in Katanga, and they didn't tell these guys in Jadotville what was happening. And the mercenaries in the area around Jadotville, because they were 100 clicks south of the actual main base at Ellington or Ellsworth, whatever it was, and they were like, well, let's take a company of Irish guys fucking as POWs for collateral so that we can get good negotiation terms. And that literally was the whole reason this happened. It wasn't because, the commies are coming. No, fuck that shit. You're trying to make this small event fit into a bigger picture that doesn't exist. It was just a civil war where the UN was called in to be there, and it was part of a 40 years experience of just revolutions in Africa. And after this, it just spread south, And people all know about Rhodesia and the Bush Wars, especially in the States today, which kicked off 3 years after this with the UDI. But that's really the actual history behind it. And it's fascinating. I mean, there's a very good documentary made in the 60s, and then I'll let you talk, Michael, called Africa Addio. And it's basically these Italian filmmakers that show and document the decolonization of Africa in all these different countries as it was happening. It's fucking fascinating. It's amazing. And it just really shows the times and what was happening. And there is a point where they do follow mercenaries in the Congo, and it's fucking insane. Like, you have the basically World War II mercenary guys that are just doing crazy shit, firing 30 cals from the hips, like shooting up villages and stuff. And a lot of that I think they copied in this, because toward the end in the battles, you see crazy shit going on that you actually see in that documentary. But one crazy part about it, and just kind of just shows Africa, is they're Italian filmmakers. And they're in Kenya, I believe. And they were just a revolution, and they were killing any whites they could find. And these guys are in a car, and this big mob comes out, and they're like, "Fucking, we're gonna kill you, you fucking whites!" And like, no, we're not British, we're Italian. And like they show them their passports, and they go, "Oh, they're not white, they're Italian," and the crowd runs on. So like, it just the crazy times of the 60s and 70s, in Africa.
Movie.
Dude, yeah, anybody listening to this, if you haven't seen it, watch Africa Addio. It's on YouTube last I saw it, and it's a bunch of places on the internet. It's fascinating. It's 90 minutes that you cannot stop watching, and it's just Africa burning in the middle of this conflict. But that's the real history behind it leading up to the siege. So,
well, I think that's really interesting because as someone who knows zip about this, I was when I was watching the movie, I just immediately got this note. I'm like, this seems, the way this is written, the way this is all playing out, it seems like they're making it seem more important than it probably was. Just the vibe I'm getting from it as I'm watching it. And a lot of movies do that. A lot of movies do that about historical things, where they really try to elevate it to make it seem like, the end of the world was going to happen if this was, wasn't done in this way. The kind of war movies I'm talking about, the ones where it begins with text explaining the fucking shit because no one knows about it, and then it ends with some kind of thing saying the blah 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 did blah blah blah, and still to this day people such and such and such and such. And that was this kind of movie. And when you say that, Brian, I'm like, I am not a bit surprised, because it seemed like it was. I mean, why just make a movie about it? Just make a movie about and find the story within it. You don't have to make it seem like this, history-changing event. Find the story within the event, and tell that story.
Yeah, it's like they're just trying to make this perfect puzzle piece that fits into this bigger picture, and it's like, maybe you, as an island nation, should celebrate your neutrality and the fact that you do these amazing peacekeeping operations, and your countrymen die for people that don't even know them. Mm-hmm. For that's.
We'll give a shit.
There's a story right there.
That opinion is better. And before I forget, because I will forget. So it's funny. The Irish, they're a small country, and they didn't have a lot at the time, especially in the late 50s, early 60s. And this is that's another story. But so they arrived in the Congo with land fields and wolves. And very quickly, they had horrible problems with guys getting heat exhaustion and them getting overpowered in fights with, the terrorists. So the first thing they did was they got PT gear that was all HPT. So get rid of these wool fucking uniforms. And they do have those in the movie, which is cool, when they're in Ireland. Yep. But that was a literal uniform they showed up to in fucking the Congo with. That's going to work really well. Yeah, shows how unprepared these guys were. And when they started,
it also shows how big of pussies they were, because their ancestors fought in wool in South Africa during the Zulu Wars. Did you hear about that? They were okay. Well, What's your excuse?
At the gunpoint of a Cockney asshole. But anyway, or Cagney.
Right, yeah.
But what do you call it? So they get there, and so they fix the uniform problem. They go, okay, that's that. But then they have to fix the gun problem. And at the time, late 50s, early 60s, everybody has a battle rifle. So what's the battle rifle you buy? You get an FNFAL. Well, they had an offer to get L1A1s from the UK that were just being made. But the Irish government would not give the English any money. So they went out of their way to buy FNFALs from the Swedes just for the contingent of troops that were in Northern Ireland. They were in Congo. Yeah, they went through the Swedes in some way. I don't know.
Because they were using Belgian FALs.
Yeah, they were straight Belgian FALs that they had in country. but they went out of their way to not pay the British for their L1A1s.
Okay,
that's
so
why
that
a metric pattern,
explains a huge thing that I was asking. So.
That's why they have metric pattern FALs, and that's totally correct for this time. A year earlier, they all had landfields, but at this time, at the time of the siege, they had Swedish Ks, as we saw, and the FNFALs. And the Swedish K was used by most of the other UN forces there. You see a lot of them Swedes.
It's also used by U.S. forces in Vietnam. So
some and the Smyth and Wesson 76 later on. But you see some of the Swedes, they have really cool UN markings. It's like ONC or whatever. And a bunch of those guys have like the globe and like Swedish Ks, and it's really, really a cool look. But so yeah, the FAL was the primary weapon for this, and it's just funny how they literally went around the Brits. They're like, no, we don't. Fuck you, Enfield. We're going to Belgium.
Well, so one of my really good friends is Irish, so we actually talk about like the troubles and all that stuff, and like how fucking just how shitty England has just been to the Irish for like the last 100 or 1,000 years, and they will like they had a point in time where they could have gotten Northern Ireland back, and the only thing they had to do was fight in World War II on the side of the Allies, right? But they just hate the British so fucking much. They're like, no, we don't even want our people to be fighting with you because of how shitty you guys have been to us. And I'm like, I completely understand. That is a level of petty I probably will never get to experience in my life, but it completely makes sense from what's happened to them.
Yeah, I mean, so 16 years after the Civil War, 1939, it's like, fuck that shit. Europeans are going to go fucking murder each other. The funniest thing is, and there's actually a really good short film about this, is the Irish locked up everybody that flew over their country that they shot down. And so the Germans, Americans, Brits, they put in the same POW camps. So this is one funny movie where the Spitfire is chasing a 109, they shoot each other down, and the guys end up in the same POW camp together. The Swedes did the same, or the Swiss did the same thing during the war. But yeah, the Irish were just like, you're all fucking criminals. You're all on our territory. And just one random funny thing, it was so bad at points where they had points on the east coast of Ireland where they wrote Ire in big white letters so that they knew, okay, this isn't the UK, this is another island that is not at war. So you got to go to this one. And they're actually restoring some of those. It's a crazy story.
I just kind of want to go back to like the story, the overall story of the movie and stuff, because we're talking about Irish history now and things like that. And at the very end of this movie, it says in the text like when they returned to Ireland, they were looked at as cowards or something, and they weren't honored at all. They weren't seen as heroes. And the guy even says, we're not gonna talk about this and all that sort of thing. I don't know how true that is, but that right there, I was like, when that came up on the screen, I was like, that's a story right there. Like, why couldn't this be about how these guys went through this shit and then came back and it was like you get the shit thrown in your face?
It's only an hour and 49-minute long movie.
Well, cut it in half and have it be half of the battle and then half of that, like that.
Hell, you could do a half an hour and just
I'm just saying that like in terms of
because it's bureaucracy,
right? And just in terms of a story and in terms of like actually doing something with Irish history, that seems more interesting, more impactful than just, hey, aren't these guys brave for what they did?
Well, it's kind of like. Go ahead, Nate.
Well, no, I just want to interject real quick. I've been trying this whole entire time to find a budget, and 5 minutes in, I realized it's a fucking Netflix movie, and they don't release those details.
Oh, okay.
So I've been trying to find like circumnavigate ways of searching the production company that was parented with it, and all that, trying to come up with seeing what the recent movies were. We don't fucking know. Unfortunately, I can't figure that out. So, and I know Brian had his hand up, so. Go ahead, Brian.
I totally forgot what I was going to say.
You're welcome. Mike B, go.
No, I was just going to say, even Dunkirk did that, where they showed just kind of how, like, those guys who have been through the ringer were, like, treated as pieces of shit when they got back because, you got defeated. So, yeah, it would have been cool to have a couple minutes, at least, of, like, explaining that without having to have just text at the end. Yeah. So. Ryan.
It kind of helps to build the empathy with us, right? Like to show what they actually went through, because like then you actually like get more bought into the story.
Yeah,
because you're like, yep, okay.
And it relates to like Irish history, Irish culture. Like we would see more of their world, So sorry, Brian, go ahead.
No worries. So. Oh, am I forgetting it again? Motherfucker.
Did you forget it for a second time?
Dude, you're pulling a me.
I literally
Brian,
did.
You're pulling a me.
God, you're like
it's been
like
a long
fucking
week.
goldfish.
Yeah, you're pulling a me,
right?
though.
Oh yeah, so
There he goes.
they surrendered at the end because they had to. They had no other options. And,
Oh,
they ended up, in a prisoner, whatever. They were taken for a month as prisoners, and they were, their very, very, very lenient UN peace treaty was given towards the Congolese forces or whatever, and they were let go. But what I found interesting, so after a month in captivity, they were back in their own lines for a week, and they don't really talk about how bad the captivity. It seemed just like regular prison. It wasn't like they were like in a Japanese prison or something.
They brushed over it in the movie.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
Even when you read about it, though, they don't really talk about it. It seemed just like an internment. It wasn't, they didn't like rough them up on purpose, whatever. But they get back to UN lines, and a week later, they're thrust back into combat. The whole fucking A company. So like, not only do they go through this whole experience and they live through the prison and everything, well, then they go back into combat. So my idea of like a good arc would be like, starting it with like this crazy thing. Oh wow, we go to prison, and then at the end it's just like, okay, come on guys, drop your cocks, grab your socks, we're going back into it. It's like, fuck, they're still in country, they haven't gone home yet, and they're fighting again in another fucking battle. It's 5 weeks after all that shit happened. So
it's a thing where, again, I don't know the real history necessarily about all this, but it seemed to me as like you could have done a little bit something, just me as a storyteller, like something maybe a little bit more interesting, but I'm not, again, that's just me personally. Like the way the film was done as it was done was not terrible at all. There were some things in it that were very, very well done. I really like how the French like legionnaire mercenary guy, I like that whole thing where he has kind of this rapport with the Irish commandant. I thought that was really cool. Someone else talk. Everyone's just staring at me.
Chris was going to say
Yeah,
something.
go for it. Yeah.
Yeah, so I kind of find it interesting because you guys all kind of talk about like how like the direction of the movie from like a cinematography aspect where they're trying to play it up more than it is. And I find like maybe like right very well could be. But the way I'm looking at it, maybe it's from like a more political lens, is that all of the people above the boots on the ground actually fucking believe that. Like if we don't do this, World War III is going to blow up and everything, all of this stuff. And so I think it's kind of an interesting like way I'm looking at it versus like you guys that have been through all of that. And so I find that interesting. I think that's kind of like one of the big things that kind of taken away so far.
And like,
yeah, we all bring a different viewpoint to these conversations, and it's just interesting to see who they are. It's like
me personally, I'm just kind of sick of the whole like kind of movie where it's like we get the text in the beginning and then the text in the end, and it kind of, and I know there's very limited ways to tell people about certain events. Just go ahead, Nate.
The only
Sorry, go ahead, Brian.
The only one that I like where there's text at the end is Animal House. Because it's all made up. He would become a senator in 1968. Fragged by his troops in Vietnam.
I particularly like married 1962, divorced 1960, whatever it was.
Yeah, right. Like 1962.
Yeah.
So that's the only movie I like with credits at the end.
Nathaniel.
Fuck you. The thing is that it's not my name, but I'll answer to it anyway. The thing that I think is really interesting though overall about the movie, like I hear what I definitely see what Chris is saying, and I do agree with that. I think a lot of the things that I look at because of me being, an editor and stuff like that, is that I look at the way things are delivered, and unfortunately I have 32 years of knowledge of watching every shitty fucking good movie, bad movie, medium movie ever, and you draw what you like and what you don't like. And I think a lot of the presentation and the aspects of that, I think this might chime into kind of like the cheaper budget feel to it, is that I feel like the cinematographer and or the director, I mean, like, I don't think they like cheaped out. It felt like almost like there was no, not saying you need like an artillery shell going over everyone like in Danger Close, I don't mean that, but like it just felt very, the presentation of it just felt either cliche or felt very kind of lower budget. And like for example, I think something that I said before, which was like the Bren gun scene, like I understand the way they did it. I knew it was real, but Brian also confirmed it, and so I do appreciate that actually being in the story. Like as a story plot, I find it, even though it's so minor it is, I find it very intriguing because it opens up conversation of something you don't normally see in a movie, which is bring up the LMG and take a long shot. Because what's the normal trope? Bring in the sniper, and the sniper takes it out. Yeah, so I appreciate that, but I think what I don't like about it is the way it was edited and done. Like, is at the shot, show the guy, show the sight, show the thing, pan zoom on the side of the Bren, like that kind of shit. And I think that's what irks me the most about this movie. It's like that kind of cliche presentation about it, but the concept of the whole scene, like totally, I like it, like I enjoy it. But I think it's that delivery process that I tend to look at this movie and go, okay, I like this, but it's in its own kind of realm of quality, I think. Mike B had his hand up first, and we'll go Chris.
So this will explain it a little bit more, Chris. Like the scene that he's talking about and the scene that you actually just kind of a little bit fucked up is the Bren scene, the one shot, which, yes, that could very easily have been taking place. It's very easy. The LMG's got a nice long barrel on it. The machine gun is good if you know it. But you said zoom down the sights. The side sights. It wasn't that. Unless we watched the same film, right? They made it look like a scope.
They made it look like the peep sight.
Okay, because the one
swear,
that I watched
I'll pull it up for you if you want.
Dude, I watched it on
peep sight.
Netflix.
I watched it on
peep
Netflix
sight?
too. It's a peep sight.
Oh my god.
I'll show you. I'll pull it up right now.
Yeah, okay. Well, let's do it.
Yeah.
Okay. Show your screen.
Keep talking. I mean, but I'll.
But yeah, it's so that is one thing I had a problem with. And like, because I swear to Christ, I'm not crazy. I know every crazy person says that, but like with this, I'm pretty sure it zoomed out, or not zoomed out, but like zoomed in as like a scope. There's no reticle. There's no crosshairs or anything. It's just the scope itself looking through that.
Colonel Sanders, no.
Colonel Sanders. That's gonna be a great fucking term for that guy.
Yeah. Well, that's how 100% why.
Going on a battlefield in a bright white suit. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Well, yeah, because like on Netflix, the one that I watched today was literally through a scope, like a clean scope. When they were like going in for the shot, it's just, you got something?
Sorry, no, I just wanted to say, so explain why exactly this was done. Is it because the Bren has a longer range of fire?
No, it's just that you can, with the light machine gun or any machine gun, you can pull a shot off longer, better, because it's less recoil. You're not going to anticipate that. They had a sniper. We'll talk about that in a second. That's a great fucking segue. All right, so he's right. Chris is right. It's Colonel Sanders.
It literally is.
Walk out on the battlefield in a white suit.
Okay, so he puts the one round in. Yep. Should be the ghost ring sight. Yep.
See? Peep. There.
Scope!
No.
Oh.
That's not a scope.
But where's the front sight? Where's the front sight, Nathan?
Because that would take the sight
I'm not directing this movie. It's not
Do you
me.
see why I thought that was a scope?
Right. They took it. They didn't show that because it would have obscured the image.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So
but
I
it's
was
trying
half
to show
right.
like
I was
it's
half
trying to
right.
show that you're just looking through this, but there's no front. So yeah.
But there is a front.
No,
It's right fucking
Why
there.
are you
Nate,
arguing
yes.
with me? I'm just telling you what I fucking see.
But you just saw the front sight post. But yes, I get
I'm
what
not
you're
falling
saying.
I'm not falling to the 43 fucking front end again.
No. It's fun. Okay, so again, that's why I thought it was a scope. Okay, so he's looking through the fucking ghost ring in the back. Okay, that's fine. Where the fuck is the front sight? Yes, he doesn't want. They don't want to, as filmmakers, obscure the target. Okay, now we've got a clear understanding. I was half wrong.
But
it still looks like a fucking scope.
I would bet you that when
that.
I would bet you that they actually they filmed it at first with the front sight, but they were like, we can't fucking see the what guy in the suit.
Yeah, so you just superimpose on After Effects. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, of course. And so that makes total sense. But now that I got, because I literally thought that was a scope. I'm like, why the fuck are you showing that? Like, because again, if they had the front sight, I'd be like, oh, nice fucking lineup. Yeah. So, okay. Argument settled. I was half wrong, half right.
Okay.
I thought it was interesting.
Can we settle for that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought it was because my whole thing was because he has his rifle, his scoped rifle right there, and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna put that down. I'm gonna use the machine gun instead." I'm like, "Is it just because it has a longer range? Like, why did he
No,
do that?"
they have the same range.
Okay.
But like, and they have the same oh my god, fun word, efficacy, at that distance. But
I think it's more like if he were to miss, the guy would run and hide, and the point is that you want to get the shot in one shot so he doesn't react. Like, there's
well,
no
and
way
also
for him to react.
if
That'd be the
you've
only
ever
thing I
used
think about.
optics are very, especially when you're in I'm not saying from experience, but like just practically, if you ever use optics at that distance, they're very shaky. So if you've got a light machine gun, that's why he took the mag out. He could have just left the magazine in there, but it reduces weight and it kind of gives him more control over it. And that's why he loaded the one round, and he's like, okay, I can do this with iron sights.
Okay, interesting.
Same distance of like the barrel's the same distance, or same length rather. Same, I'm pretty sure the same twist rate. Don't quote me on that. And then he was just like, yeah, and it's an open bolt weapon, so like, yeah, I'll squeeze the fucking trigger. Once that bolt goes forward, that shot's off, and it's a lot heavier, less recoil, less flinch. Because I don't care how good of a fucking sniper you are, you're going to anticipate the flinch.
Okay, interesting.
And so, yeah.
So it's interesting looking to this a little bit on the internet and how everybody's fighting each other. Some people are just like, it's creative license, and other people are like, well, Lee Enfield number 4T can't go out to past 600 yards for the scope.
What?
Yeah. Everybody.
Who said that?
Some comment I was reading, but it's interesting. The internet is an uproar about it.
Yeah.
But I'll have to find the reference where I've heard from a few people that it did happen, and it's in the book. There's a good book from 2005, so I'll have to get it and see for sure. But
A number 4 Mark 1/2T cannot go past 600 meters.
I don't know. That sounds like bullshit, but I mean, it does make sense because the scopes back then were kind of limiting.
No, they were shitty, but like a fucking PU
yeah.
can go up to 1,000.
Yeah, but I'm not sure. I don't have. Oh, I have a T project, but I don't have a T. But I mean, in my mind, everything you said, and Michael, you go, is just it makes sense. You know, it's an incredibly stable platform. The only thing in my mind that throws it off is the fact it's an open vault, and I don't care what you say.
Yeah,
when you shoot an open vault.
It does move right before it hits the primer. It does move. Yes.
That chunk of metal like flying, because that's the reason I hate my G3. I love my G3. It looks really cool and it's got cool history. But that fucking giant fucking bolt slamming forward throws you off.
But this is a smaller bolt. A Bren's a very smaller bolt, but it still
and he's
does.
only shooting one round. He's
and it does do the same thing. But here's the thing: is like here's the thing is I will say this: having shot a lot of open bolt weapons, the trigger is. How do I explain this? It's longer, but it's smoother. And all of a sudden, when it hits, because when you get that pull, like for myself, this is just my own opinion. This is not a fact. I was able to, because we had to do some cool shit with the 240 Bravo, which is an open bolt machine gun, right, with one shot or 3 shots. And when you squeeze that trigger, it's like you feel it release, and it does move because it's like big chunk of metal going forward. But it's also a big chunk of metal that you have countering that versus a rifle. And does that make sense? True. Like, because a rifle's 8 pounds, and it's like
on a Bren too, you have, depending on the model of Bren, you have a rear rest as well, so you can really it's like a boys anti-tank rifle.
You can get
really,
into it. Yeah,
you can really get into that fucker if you had to, you know.
And it's like I could see why he would want to take the Bren for that long range of a shot.
It's an H-bar. That's what it comes down to.
Well,
it's a heavy barreled rifle.
Go ahead, Mike.
I just typed in Siege of Jadotville, and
isn't it fun?
One of the on YouTube, and one of the first videos that pops up is testing the
I
did
see that. I was watching that, trying to find the budget. I actually kind of liked that.
Okay. It's a 16-minute video about that. So if you want to,
The Armorer's Bench, I looked into it, but I looked into their thing a bit, and they show all the MOAs are off. I don't care who the fuck you are. Unless you have a brand new barrel for your Bren, though, that doesn't mean shit. Like,
correct. You are correct.
It doesn't. And it's like, Henry, who we've had on here from 9 Hole Reviews, he does all the cool accurizing and stuff, and like within reason. But like, if we're talking about a specific event during a service life of a rifle, like, unless you have everything new, and who knows, what the how bad these guns were and stuff, you know. But it's just a fallacy for me to be like, this 80-year-old equipment can't do what they show. It's like, because it was 5 years old back then or brand new. Not some boomer didn't shoot the fucking barrel out in 1987 because he didn't like the president or something. Who the fuck knows? Like, you know, it's like, especially in the States, because people that own machine guns are horrible.
Yeah, well, yeah. But anyway, I think it's plausible, definitely. And the whole thing about the number 4 Mark 1/2T not being able to go past 600 yards. Fuck you.
Well, it's like, there's a thing.
Doubt it.
There's a very interesting thing. In films, whenever you watch them, like, especially Eastern Front movies, like, you always see the reticles in the middle of the scope. And when
Like
you get a
Enemy at the
PU,
Gates.
yeah, exactly. When you get a PU or any of that stuff, all the Russian scopes, you put it to 0, and the fucking middle line is all the way up. There's like a quarter of an inch, basically, from the top of the scope to the actual reticle. And a lot of people are like, this is what they did it, blah, 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 blah. Well, I was going to do a Soviet sniper film a while ago that unfortunately fell apart. But I did a shit ton. I've read every single Soviet memoir that existed ever. And one of the things that came out of that was really cool, was that they said that they used to they would set the scopes for 600 or like 400 meters to get the reticle in the middle, but they would sight them to 2 or 250. So that even though the scope was set at a certain range, like 600 or something, the actual rifle was zeroed for something different. And they knew from where the actual reticle was, closer, you know, to go lower, or further away to go higher up. So that idea of like adjusting a reticle to a different range but zeroing it into something else is a legit military thing. So that could be something else that played into this. I mean, I don't know, but it's a really interesting bit of history.
Yeah.
You know, so when anybody bitches like, no, look at my PU, it's like this. It's like, well, you didn't read the 17 Russian memoirs to tell you how to use the rifle that you bought off Gunbro.
Well, also, I shimmed the mount, by the way, so it actually was.
Which
But-
use
but
Brian's shimming company. There you go.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brian Rao.
Accurization mounts. Yeah.
Millstrip Accuracy LLC.
Yeah, I mean, it's plausible. It really is, and I'll
It's
have
like,
to look into it. And
that's
see,
not one of the things that I'm like hung up on. I'm hung up like about the just not showing the front sight post. Like, come on.
The thing I'm hung up about, and I wrote it in my notes. I decree on the 10th of May or whatever.
Well, I'm gonna go take a piss while you're saying this, so I can come back, and I'm gonna love this because I know it's gonna be good.
Bullets go through things. 50 cal.
Oh yeah, the fucking Jeeps. Yeah, the bulletproof Jeeps and
50
yeah.
cal.
Yeah.
No. It's an anti-material rifle, okay, or round. Like it's made to go through anything. Cinder block, femur, wood planking, fucking anything. Like literally, if they just wanted to be correct, you would just fucking bombard the base with 81s for like a day and just use your 50 cals to mow down all the fucking structures. And then you move in. Like it's just it's stupid.
So let me ask you this then. So in during the real siege, do you think they didn't have nearly that much firepower they were using?
I really feel like they watched Congo documentaries from the 60s and just stole shit because it's different. You know, like when they're driving these Jeeps over these open fields, again, it like turns into Gettysburg with like Range Rovers. What the fuck's going on? It's just the one thing you're most exposed in on a battlefield is the technical. Like the second you get into a technical, everybody's like, "Hey, shoot that guy!" You know, it's just the tactics are just annoying. But
Yes.
filmography and stuff. But no, bullets go through things, and like not until the end of the film do you see like where buildings start to get chipped away by stuff. It's like I love that in like what was it, Black Hawk Down, where like fucking shit gets fucked up, because again, bullets go through things. Like and this is the age of battle rifles too. Everything's a fucking high powerful rifle or a subgun. There's no intermediary really, maybe some AKs and stuff, but like everything has weight behind it. You're shooting full power cartridges. Nathan?
The
Old Bay?
the one thing I was gonna say was you had mentioned about kind of like the Russian tactics of just swarming, with no through an open field and just like leapfrogging like every 10 feet. And I think the way it's filmed tends to show it's what I keep saying, which is kind of like that lower budget, because I think that's what we see in lower budget films. Yet I don't think this is a low budget film, because the more and more I think about it, just the more and more stuff I see about it. But I let me just finish this and then I'll let you go, Mike. Is that
It's just, but it's the interjection that'll help your statement.
okay? Go ahead. Yeah,
It's not just in lower budget films.
true. Yeah.
So
no,
so
true.
just keep going. It's not
well,
just that. Yeah.
like I like a lot of things that are done and filmed well in this. There's like it's like every 6 shots there's like a stinker. It's like I don't know how to describe it, but it's like I have this running. You guys can't see, but I have it running, and I'm like looking because I'm trying to see if I was right in my head. It's like you're showing guys leaping and bounding like through an open field with no cover, and I understand that like that has a problem. So you hide behind a Jeep, and the Jeep's bulletproof. Okay, but what I have a problem with is the way it's filmed, because if you're in open cover, you're not going to leap by bounds like that. You're going to have like like whole teams of fire teams suppressing fire to move them up in bounds, because if you do leapfrog tactics with pairs, you're just a gaggle. And I think it comes down to, I think it comes up to the problem with, filming. It's like you got to get everything in shot. You got to show it to the people who don't study this stuff like we do. And I think that's where also this film kind of peters a little bit, but I don't mean it like in the sense of like, oh, this is a piece of shit. No, I like it. I enjoy it. I like the attempt of a combat of a scenario that no one talks about, and it's interesting. I don't know who had his hand up first, but Chris, go.
So when you said like every 5th scene's a stinker, like just that scene doesn't make sense in the movie, is that what you're saying? Or
no, like how do I explain? Because I surround myself with this stuff, so it's like I think what I picture as like a stinker, meaning like I don't know what the fuck's going on, or this thing wasn't coveraged right, meaning like the camera wasn't, or it's a random ass fucking scene showing something happening that's not relevant to what we're talking about. And I think it's more of like almost like a cinematographer's editor error to me in my head. It's like I don't like what I'm seeing, or I don't like how it's playing out. And I think only I and possibly even the other guys would notice this, because we've surrounded it, because we know what we don't like seeing, or we know what's cliche enough or whatever. And I think that happens when you surround yourself with this. It's like, what is either lazy or what was kind of like a set in shot. And trust me, I am not going to judge a film on that, because other projects we have worked on has had those problems because of problems that need to be done. So like, I'm not going to judge, I'm not going to dock a score from it, but I can tell when something is lazily filmed, or an interjection doesn't need to be there, or like, like the guy getting hit next to the commander that has a Wilhelm scream. Like, who gives a fuck about that? Mm-hmm. Like, there's nothing to push that. And so I think that's what I'm talking about mainly as a cinematographer / editor, and I think that's what I'm harping on. But I hope that answered kind of what you were asking.
Yeah, that's kind of what that's what I was thinking. And like, obviously, like, now I'm taking like a whole objective look throughout the whole movie, like just kind of replaying it in my mind, like with what you guys are talking about. And I feel like now, like looking back, it kind of flirts between 2 different types of movie, right? It at the first part and in the end part kind of seems like it's setting up to be a documentary about like the plight of the Irish soldiers and not getting the help they want. But then you're looking into the movie and it seems like it's like the lax action hero trying to be more of like an action movie, but it doesn't like really define itself between either one, and it kind of just keeps flirting, and it's like not doing it. Like, it's like just like sometimes things flirt and mesh very well, and sometimes this is just like that hot blonde at the bar that you're trying to hit on, and you're like, oh well, this just isn't gonna work.
It's kind of, and to tack onto that, it's kind of like you're flirting to Commando scenes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Yes.
Like,
so yes.
The
like
last
that's
30 minutes of Commando. Yeah.
Yeah, like you see prop buildings explode from the inside out. You know, like
oh my god,
like yeah. I'm not saying this movie hits that. I'm just saying like some of the shots and some of the battle or some of the battle cinematography feels either very, we didn't get this shot so we have to put this here, or it's very lazily filmed, or I don't want to say lazily, I would say safely filmed, meaning like if you don't get it, then then you're fucked, like, and that makes me think that this movie is in the middle of the budgetary thing, where I don't think it's massively budgeted, because I feel like if they wanted to press like for example, like All Quiet on the Western Front probably has a massive budget. It's a Netflix thing though, so we don't know. Is that I think is also massively budgeted, and that has more cinematography and more pressing of kind of like a granular scale of coverage of things being filmed. And that's just what I mean. It's like, I like this film. I like how it's filmed. I like what it does. However, I can see where, I hate to say it, but it's like safely filmed. It's like I'm not saying you have to be like artistic with your shots, but just, I don't know. I think it's just a pattern that I'm constantly seeing throughout the whole film, and it kind of gets almost boring as a cinematographer, I think, is what I'm trying to say.
We talked about like the director at the start, right? Does he have anything?
Oh,
or
thank
do they
you.
Have
I was gonna.
anything
Yeah,
else?
I was gonna look that up. Sorry.
Because it'd be interesting to see, like, you know, if it's safe and it's one of their first major things, like how that does.
Well, it's like when we did Midway, and it's Mike A. It's the guy who did The Patriot. I can't remember his name. Help me.
Oh.
Steve Irvin or something. Fuck. What's his
I
name?
know. He didn't. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I'm looking it up.
Roland Emmerich.
Yes.
Yeah.
You always know when it's a Roland Emmerich film. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm looking for Siege of Jadotville. I know Brian said it, but he's.
Well, it's kind of cool. Like Chris is like, Ben, really quick, Brian, and then I'm sorry, I won't interrupt you anymore. But like, it's cool that like Chris is now like
I just won't forget it ever.
kind of understanding like our nerd shit. Love you, Brian, but like, just come on. It's kind of cool. Like Chris is like kind of learning how to like see things now, and now his view on films is going to be forever changed.
Oh, you bastards! I always I always was the best with it because I'm like, I love all movies. So if I hate a movie, it's absolute trash. And now it's going to be completely. I can't say that anymore.
Wow.
Well, now it's like basically we just showed Chris the arrow and the FedEx symbol, or the FedEx logo.
Well, it's like, here's Legally Blonde, here's Siege of Jadotville. It's like, going down.
What a comparison.
Yeah, but Reese Witherspoon, Still a Smoke Show.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
It's very, very. You're not wrong. You're not
Would
wrong.
bang.
So I'm not. This is not downplaying music videos, but the only thing the director has ever done is music videos before this film. He's done, and it makes sense now that I said that.
Like complete sense. Like, huh? Yep.
He's only ever done music videos. All his IMDb page, if you look at it, it's all music videos. This is his only film.
I mean, I feel like
ever done.
I feel like now, like
he's done a short. Sorry, I take that back. He's done one short with no
count?
picture on it, and a direct, and he's done the film.
Hey, I did a short. Can I do a movie?
Yeah. Like,
Yes, you
like,
can.
and that's not downplaying music videos. Not at all. Music videos are very, very amazing when they're nailed done really well. However, it depends on when they were done. And this guy worked from the early '90s until 2004, stopped doing anything. He must have been doing producing because I can only... No. Holy shit. So he stopped working in 2004, and then 2016 he got a director as Siege of Jadotville.
What?
And then the next year he did a music video, and now he stopped.
He must have like fuck you money.
So he will awaken in 20 years to tell us another Commonwealth War story.
That's so odd. Like I'm not bashing him, but I can totally understand
It's
why
odd.
I have those problems with what I see. Because
Yeah.
Okay, I want to see if he had a cinematographer on here.
Let's let Brian speak.
No, I forgot what I was going to say, but that was funny.
Worth it.
I got all the background of the Kid Rock videos from 95 to 92. And then I worked with Sting between 97 and 01. Yeah.
Listen here, you dumb son of a bitch. This is America.
Okay. Okay.
We did this Stairway to Heaven video, and I was so high on coke.
The cinematographer has done other films, but not a single one have I ever seen.
Legally Blonde too.
Okay.
And he was a cinematographer for 1899, which was
1898 or 99?
No, 1899. It was a TV series that just aired last year.
Oh, was that a Yellowstone spinoff?
And I think that's the Bermuda Triangle ship TV series that I think bombed. I don't know.
I didn't even know there was such a thing.
Yeah, I did.
No, it didn't bomb.
Now we know why it bombed.
It didn't bomb. It was just weird.
It's at Netflix as well. He must
But
have dirt on someone at Netflix.
Yeah, it's also Netflix, so that makes
I've got binders full of.
There's like this weird milkiness to like Netflix movies in terms of their like cinematography.
They do have a caliber to them.
Yeah, it's just like, what is going on here? Add a little contrast.
It's funny you say that because I see a lot of similarities between this and the Forgotten Battle.
Yeah.
Not in a good way.
Well, actually, I haven't fully seen Forgotten Battle. I started
You're
and
not
I didn't
missing
finish
much.
it.
We'll
In
have to watch that and hear
cinematography
about
wise, it looked good to me. The parts I had seen, but I don't know.
It's okay.
I haven't dived into it.
pack the screen full of 88s and Sturmgewehrs. You can't on a dike.
Oh yeah. I completely forgot about that. Mike showed that to me.
Hey, I'm a paratrooper. My glider got shot down. I've been like fucking trying to survive for a month behind enemy lines. I am now behind my lines. What am I gonna do? Change my uniform and join the Canadians? No, you're gonna fucking go home. Like what the fuck?
Shit, dude.
I have a lot of problems with that.
Should I
fucking
watch
thing.
it and have an argument about the?
Well,
the-
we should
the
definitely
muzzle
do
We'll
a
do a
we should do a
review.
Scuttlebutt episode on there
I
because
completely
I
forgot
have to
about it.
find the footage, Mike. I have to
It's
find the
so
footage.
Yeah,
shitty.
you do.
It's easy to forget.
I completely forgot about that movie now. I mean, when I'm looking back at it, I'm like, I hardly remember anything about it.
Until like you'll be driving like in a few days and some kid will go in the middle of the road and throw a brick at you. And then you'll remember the movie.
Yeah, jog my memory. No, it's just that I don't know, it just wasn't very memorable to me. But I remember at the time people were really talking about it.
Which
Yeah,
the
it was-
Forgotten Battle?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a World War II thing.
It does have an interesting
wizards.
opening where the glider gets shot down. I'll give it that. But it's
And it
like-
was good until then, and then it was
it was like okay,
we're done.
Then I started.
It's like-
We're done.
They all died in the crash.
I'm looking back now. I remember their interpretation of the Atlantic Wall. I was like, nope. That's
should,
it.
And
like,
it's
go-
also Market Garden, my favorite fucking Western Front campaign.
Yeah.
I think I
should have
got to
gone-
the glider scene, and that's when I had to go, and I never followed through with it.
So you got 2 minutes in. It should go from the glider scene, like they crash, and then right into like Letters from Iwo Jima or something like. And now we found their bodies.
Yeah.
Like, that would be a much better movie than the
5-minute movie.
bullshit they made.
Captain
Yeah.
America shows up out of nowhere.
It's like a Dutch guy pulling out a paratrooper helmet out of a swamp. Like, oh, what's this?
Yeah,
To guys, I guess to cycle back to the movie, what did you guys think of the props?
They were great. The Irish look great. They really
Yeah,
did.
not bad at all.
From what I saw, a lot of guns in this. A lot of like submachine guns that I don't ever see in movies.
Vig Nuns.
A
That
lot
was
of
very cool.
varying calibers and types, and I was
Yep.
very impressed with what they had on screen. I was very impressed.
Should we go
Yeah, me
to?
too.
Because I actually saw dish. Because we can jump into a second,
Yeah.
but like
The uniforms too were like the
Yeah.
mercs were wearing.
Because I know nothing about that, so yeah.
So the main merc guy, the Brian knows his name because he jerks off to him every night. But like,
He has nothing to say to that.
I'm joking.
Le French, yes.
Yeah,
who
what
is,
the hell was the
been a long
guy?
week.
The guy's
Would
name,
you
the
like
guy in
some
charge?
French cognac?
He's played by the same.
You lost your country in 2 weeks. You surrender, monkey.
He's played by the same actor who played the French lieutenant in Joy Noel. That's the same actor.
Oh fuck.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's aged a bit.
I don't know if you
yeah.
caught that. Yeah.
Oh wow, no,
Wow.
wow.
Yeah.
You look like a discount Nick Swardson.
Sorry.
Okay,
see
so
that.
anyway, they're wearing like fucking old school like French Indochina and Algerian era shit.
Well, they're wearing denizens.
Well, no, it's
one main
if you
guy
look
is a
closely,
denizen,
it's
though.
lizard. It's like it's patterned off of them, but it's the TAP 48, I think, uniform for 47.
Yeah, there were so many of them.
They're not denizens. Like if you look really close, they're
I
not.
think the main guy has a denizen on. But
No, I thought so too. It's just it's faded
It's
to
a-
fuck.
it's like we'll see. It's like a denizen cut though.
Yes,
definitely was some
well, they
other crazy
patterned it
cameos
off
and
of
stuff.
that, yes, but like it was the TAP 48. It was a paratrooper specific uniform.
It could be Rhodesian brushstroke because they had a lot
It's
of
not.
denizens that were Rhodesian brushstroke. And I'm just saying that at the time like, you have these crazy camos that were in these mercenary campaigns, but
No, but I
When we
was
get to
looking at it because
IMFTP,
I was
we'll
like,
take a
yeah, that's a denizen smock. Oh no, wait, no, it's not. It's TAP 48 or 47. I can never remember the number.
there's
It's
TAP
48 or
58 and there's all I know is I want all of it in my fucking house, but I don't have any
right
of it yet.
So it's really
I love
faded,
Lizard.
and then they're also wearing the he's wearing the maroon beret, which is fine, with the French Foreign Legion Parametro badge on it, with the winged arm holding the dagger. That is, and like that's fine because yeah, he was in the French Foreign Legion, and he was in that unit, he was in an airborne unit, and also in one of the scenes in the bar, he shows his tattoo. You can see that it lines up, which is a good touch, a good little detail.
Well, it's funny. It's like to talk about the theme I think we've had with a lot of recent films is that the devil's in the details, and getting that nailed down really does kind of bring it up. And I think this movie does do a good job of trying to put it in the time in the time that it was based in, the uniforms, the equipment, even this. I mean, the main set's a little cheap looking with brick, and I think, but I only say that because of this, is that it's obviously brick, it's obviously stuff, but the problem is that I think the real life, you know, what Brian had mentioned before, like, you know, rounds, everything being bulletproof. I think that's where it really does draw back, and I think it's the understanding of capturing real, you know, battle and real life physics and stuff like that. You know, yes, you know, media and filmography should have a little bit of a forgiveness, but when it's blatant, constant through the whole entire thing, I think that's where it starts to. I think that's, again, for me, chiming back to what I said before, I think that's where it starts feeling. I hate to use the word cheap, but it feels cheap.
Yeah.
You know?
Cheesy.
Really.
Knockoff
Yeah,
it.
cheesy.
Yeah, really
Thank
quick.
you, yeah.
I was just gonna ask Chris, like, so Chris, as like a, now that you've learned a little bit, but like putting that aside, how do these guys like look to you, like their appearance, like their, the weaponry, the uniforms, and whatever on both sides? How did they look to you as just somebody that's kind of like a viewer, an audience member?
Do we know how like this engagement, like how soon after being in country they are?
Like a month or so.
Okay.
Yeah.
I the way I've looked at it, like they kind of look a little haggard, ragged. Like it's not like pristine, like we're marching on a parade type, like their uniform and stuff. So I think that was like a nice touch. But like I didn't think any, like I thought it was a little weird, like the, you know, like the Lee Enfields or the bolt actions and all that. But they did say that like they had what World War II-ish supply or surplus weapons and stuff, somewhat.
Yeah, the Irish.
begin
Yeah,
with.
Yeah, like at the start, right? So I thought like it looked well. It didn't. Nothing really stuck out to me.
What
But
about
then
the
again-
mercs? I don't. It's just. I'm just asking you. This is like a viewer. Like you don't have to go into any details of like fucking nomenclature or all that shit. But like, did those guys look different than the Irish guys?
Well, besides being black, no, not really.
Fair fucking point. Okay. I mean, no, it's a fair point.
But like, you know, like so like, what is it?
No,
Henchman number
their
one.
tactics
through
and
whatever.
weaponry and all that shit. The way they conducted battle versus the Irish. I
Oh
guess.
yes, I mean like definitely like they didn't like get cover or anything. They just, besides the mercenaries, right? You could easily pick out who the mercenaries in that group were. Like they actually like found cover and did sort of military things versus like what the Irish were doing, like finding cover, high positions, stuff like that. And so I guess like, yeah, there was kind of a contrast between that. Like, why the hell is everybody doing like fucking line stuff? Like we're fucking trying to fiddle fuck with the fucking British and sending them back. Like, unless they're really that moronic, like that doesn't make any sense. At least from my standpoint.
Yeah, no, the mercs are interesting, and just random. But my favorite mercenary story from this time period comes from Indochina, because you get again these crazy World War II vets and stuff. So there was a problem apparently in some part of the country where all these convoys were getting attacked going down one of the colonial routes, and they had to fix this problem. And they were like, "Oh, we got to fix this, whatever." And one of the mercenaries was like, "Oh, that's easy." Like what? And like takes a drag of his cigarette. Just tie the hostages to the outside of the trucks. They won't kill their own people. It's like,
I mean, you're
somebody
not wrong,
saw
but
service
fuck.
in the east part of the world. You know, like it's just interesting where these guys, you know, pulled their references from. So you literally would have crazy veterans that would be in these campaigns. Like it would not be uncommon to have like British paratroopers next to like SS lieutenant colonels, like, you know, next to an American that just can find his way home after they liberated Paris. Like it's just. Yeah, I mean, this is where the soldier of fortune like idea really takes hold. This is late 50s, really. It's like this is the classic Merc era, and people are like, "Oh no, that's the Bush Wars, executive outcomes." It's like that's the tail end. Like that's like, you know, hey, there's nothing left, but this is the real, like, you know, oh well, I was in the commandos and here I am, or hey, I ended up in Korea and then I never found my way home. Like, it's pretty crazy, and yeah, they did train these local forces and things, and they were really idiots, you know, obviously the militias and stuff, they were just supplied with local firearms. And yeah, the mercenaries are just trying to push them into these attacks. There were one or two things I read where the morale was really low with the Katangese forces, because after a lot of the assaults, the militias, or sorry, the mercenaries, the real mercenary guys would shoot the leaders that failed to like push the attacks home. So like, that's a great morale booster. The beatings will continue until morale improves.
Yes.
Like,
Some irony there.
Nathaniel.
I have to answer to it.
No, he's not gonna
I have
go.
to say, no, I have to now because he fucking called me. But I want to go. I want to go talk.
random
about
as I cut you off today. A
yeah.
friend of mine who listens to the podcast,
Yeah.
like a week ago, we were meeting with him and stuff, and he goes, "Oh, fucking! Whenever I hear your podcast, I always think of Old Bay."
Hey, Nathaniel, as long as you stop with your lisp.
Well, I was gonna say it's better than a loud ass with a lisp. So that's fine.
Loud ass with a lisp.
Yeah, I'll take that any day.
Hey, Chris, does Nate have a lisp to you?
I haven't noticed it. Fuck. I got to put me on the spot like that.
Okay.
Now he's gonna hear it. Now he's gonna
Yeah,
hear it.
just
He's
like
gonna be
every other thing you guys have made me fucking notice. You've ruined my life. This is that glass pane shattering moment that like now every war movie I watch, like these fucking idiots don't even know how to film this. That's not real blood. What is this shit?
This is Chris's Red Pill podcast.
Yeah.
Hey, Chris, what movie from your childhood do you hold very dear?
Nope, we're not even. Nope,
He ain't falling for that shit,
Just
dude.
wondering. Yeah.
Forrest Gump. There we
Li-
go.
Oh,
Forrest
The
Gump.
Lion King. Oh, that's actually.
Let's go to the
interesting.
Vietnam part.
Actually,
of
not
They shot
terrible.
me right in the buttocks.
But talks.
Yeah, but
But
you know,
not a terrible depiction of Vietnam. Just
That
so
movie
we
actually holds up. Believe it
but
or
at the
not.
same
Yeah,
time,
it does.
it's totally fine if you take it a look that Forrest Gump's retarded and it's through his lens, so everything's just going to be off anyways.
Forrest Gump's not retarded though. I've heard people say
Oh.
that. He's just not very bright.
He's just Southern.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like he's not
Have you
mentally
ever-
challenged.
I thought literally it was because like there was that test he took and it's like he's in the slow.
He's 75 IQ, but IQ is
75.
bullshit. So whatever.
Until his mom put out, and then he was in the smart category.
I mean, but if the mom was Sally Fields, wouldn't you? I mean, I probably still would.
1994 Sally Fields. Yes, I would.
2023 Sally Fields.
No, that's a little too old. Yeah, 94. Yes.
Dude, you're gonna
Too
pound her into
old.
dust. Okay, you can't.
We got to do community service somehow, and for me, it's giving back to the older people. All right.
On today's episode of The Sex Swing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And especially
We're-
Smokey and the Bandit Sally Fields.
Searching for nostalgia.
Yeah, well,
So,
there is that. Yes.
What was Nate?
So what other movie do you hold dear?
So
from your
I will.
childhood?
So let me before we go more into this banging Sally Fields. Let me get this out.
would have known the discussion about this movie.
I will tell you, my bingo card did not have banging Sally Fields on the podcast tonight.
See?
By Sally Fields, we mean Sally is the code name for the Irish A Company contingent that was there, and Fields, the fields that surround
Sally
the Jadotville
Fields,
base.
come in, over.
So,
Sorry, I have to cut you off again, Nate.
Go ahead, no,
I
it's
hated
fine.
the fucking radio comms. Oh my god.
oh yeah,
Oh yeah, because they were just like it was like you
What are you
and me
doing?
talking on the phone. It's like that's not how it goes.
Hi, General.
Yeah.
Like, what
he
the fuck are
he
you
didn't
doing?
even say. Yeah, he didn't even say over. He just like throws the thing
We
down.
can really use that whiskey.
Yeah.
Bam.
That's the over now. Yeah, the whiskey
So
thing did
okay,
happen, but it
this
was at
is
the end.
this could be a really good thing because Chris knows a little bit of a thing or two about talking on a fucking official radio.
Yeah, I talk on the radio all the time.
So, do you, in a combat setting like that, do you talk just like casually to people?
No, you say very concise, short shit on what you're trying to say, and that's it. Very, very concise. I got
There's
like,
a reason a
And
nine
you also
line
use call
exists,
signs.
you
These
know,
things
like-
called call signs, right?
Yes, like Viking 8-4, I have you Lima Charlie. Like
Cool.
shit like that. Like super easy, super quick.
Yeah.
We're not trying to fucking
Yeah,
make a
Viking
singular
8-4, this is-
rollover that's here.
Viking 8-4, this is Romeo 8 Juliet, Lima Charlie, coordinates Alpha or grid square Golf 2-4. Request fire support over.
Yeah, and then be like Romeo Juliet. This is Viking 8-4. I got
Romeo
you.
8
Got it.
Juliet. You
Fuck off.
fucked up
I
my
don't
call
give
sign.
a fuck. Yeah.
Wisconsin Cheddar, Wisconsin Cheddar. This is Big Dick Motherfucker 69. How do you hear me? Over.
So to people listening,
How
that's
copy?
that was a really bad what I just did because I've been out of the loop for fucking over a decade. But like, it's short and concise like that. Like,
I'm
and
also,
you also
talking to pilots. So like
it's different. It's way different.
I mean, it's not going to be like your infantry or your JTACs calling actual fucking fire support. So we're
Right, and I
like
was
in that
just like-
little median gray
But
area.
anyway, no, but it's different. But it's always like the same concept of like You use call signs so everybody knows who the fuck is talking,
Yep.
and it's short and concise, to the point, fuckity bye.
Like fucking, did anybody here watch that horrible Monster Hunter movie?
Which was it just called
No.
Monster Hunter?
The new one with Mila Jovovich.
No.
It was like 2 years ago. Like
No.
they were like doing, I think, radio talk, like without radios, just to each other. I'm like,
So, Chris, I have a question, a very serious question.
oh yeah, 100%.
What is the call sign for the giant space laser in that James Bond movie?
Are you talking about Die Another Day?
Yes, yeah, I was, yeah, you know, is there, what's
I
the
don't
call
think
sign
I've-
for that?
You know, honestly, I've never watched any of the James Bond movies.
Really? Oh, so there's
Oh,
a really
really?
horrible one where this North Korean guy gets turned into a British guy or
Yes.
whatever.
Are we sure that's not Team America World Police?
Positive.
No.
It is definitely
it's,
Die
it's,
Another Day.
It's Die Another Day. It's a Korean turning into Maggie Smith's son, and
But
then
they
he
go to an
does,
ice hotel
yeah.
that's like everything's ice, and then obviously the North Koreans have a secret space laser that they were going to use to destroy the minefields to get into the south. They haven't been building invasion tunnels underneath the DMZ for the last 60 years, but anyway, so you know they have this giant space laser that melts like all of Antarctica. So I was just wondering, you know, you being in the Space Force, like what's the call sign for that? Like Megadeth 2?
Doesn't he like surf on like a
Brian, there is no
surfboard?
Yes.
call
Silver
sign. He just
parachute.
has it on this gauntlet on his arm. Remember? As I drop my microphone.
Oh,
Yeah, it depends. So like if there's like a control room there, you would be calling the control room, right? So like I'm in the command post for our local reserve and guard unit, right? So our call sign is North Star. So when we have planes or units flying around coming to us, depending on what they are, like Reach 47, this is North Star, you know. So we would just be North Star. So it probably could just be Death Star at that point.
Death Star.
That's what they're like, just like straight up, like we're just gonna take this from Star Wars.
Yeah.
I'd be cool with that. I was wondering, you know, 'cause I've pondered that since I saw the movie. Like, you know, if you're gonna have to call in a death laser from space, like it's got to have a cool name.
Yeah.
you know?
So if you'd be calling the control room for it, and it's probably some private that doesn't care. So like it's the whole control room, and then you got flyboys that have their own call sign, right? And it's usually something stupid like ping pong. And that's because when they did a layover in Thailand, a Taiwanese stripper ping pong ball hit him in the face. Now his name is Ping Pong.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're out and doing actual missions, your aircraft, that will have a different call sign as well. So
It's like
yeah.
my buddy's nickname Manila is because, you know, a prostitute wrote him until he had a kid. So
Yeah,
the way it goes.
100%. Yeah. So like I mean
What
like
did I come back from the Philippines with? A child.
like
In a way.
Top Gun, right? So Tom Cruise is Maverick, but I think during it he's like Bandit 01 or something like that. So like you have your personal call sign and then like your mission call sign of whatever aircraft you're doing, and that will generally show who's the lead aircraft and the tail aircraft for it, and depending on how many ships you have in your ships is how many planes. So
And the point is, they didn't do that in this movie.
no,
Yeah. In the Second World War, they used a system of numbers. So, like, Woodbine 4-1 would be the leader.
yeah,
And then, like, Woodbine 1-4 or whatever. Like, that's that system would go. And then they would have sections by colors. So, like, Woodbine Red 4 or Woodbine Yellow 4 or, like, you know, all the
right.
different shapes.
And you
So-
know maybe they actually did fuck up the radio stuff all that much, and that's how like Mangatu or whatever the hell the Cantonese dude, right, figured out that they like, you know, murdered all those civilians by accident, like totally
Yeah.
not inept, right? Because they're not using call signs. They would have, you know, if we used call signs, they would.
Hey,
know
UN,
that
I fucked up, you know? Whoops.
Hey, General, you know all those civilians that we had that work in the medical? Yeah, we don't anymore. We just shot them accidentally.
They're not breathing. So, whoops. See, what happened was the Indian UN guys showed up, and a bunch of Pakistanis went in the building. And then,
fuck.
oh, shit. So, here we
Wait,
are.
were there actual Pakistanis at that point in time in history?
Yeah.
61? Yeah. 48,
Well,
47. is
it was
Portugal.
it was contested, but it was kind of like the
That's like the differentiation of where like we're gonna do this.
yeah.
I got it. Yeah, maybe probably. You know,
There's already a few conflicts between Pakistan and India. At this,
There was
at this
definitely
point, so.
yeah.
I like to
it's-
live my life in blissful ignorance of everything that's going around me.
Well, Indian people and Pakistanis have been fighting in the Himalayas for about 60 years. So there you go, you know. Hey, look,
Yeah.
there's K2. You see the mortar fire in the distance?
This is gonna be very controversial if you're Paki or Indian. I'm sorry to say this. Pakis are Muslim Indians, and Indians are Hindu Indians.
You know, if we actually had a bunch of people in those countries, they'd actually listen to Shearshaw, which has got like I think 15 views. Like,
Cool.
It's got over
That's
100
good.
downloads.
yeah.
So.
That's a cool film.
Well,
It was
and
weird.
Bangladesh was also part of India as well.
Yeah,
Bangladesh
there
is
was a
also
whole-
Muslim. Yep.
War thing about that, if I remember right.
Before everything got moved around, the one thing I did want to say was that, you know, the whole this is bringing it way back to last conversation, and then we'll move on to IMDb.
Oh, this is my bad for derailing this.
No,
This is
it's
totally
fine.
my
It's fine.
fault.
I just want to
love
get the
it.
thought out because I
I
want to
agree
talk
with
about that. Is that yeah? That if they had done so, we were talking about the mercenaries and that kind of stuff. They look good and stuff like that. The one thing that really did come back to me, and I was trying to say, was that it reminded me very much of Danger Close with Chinese wave tactics.
Yes.
And I feel like they would. I don't know. I haven't studied the conflict. Maybe they just constantly bombarded them with wave tactics. But to me, I feel like French mercenaries would probably know a little bit more than to do that, than to guide guys
Yeah.
to
Well,
do that.
probably, but if you're a mercenary and you're getting paid out by head, right? You split it.
Right.
And
Yeah.
you really just don't care.
Less people,
You
right?
have,
Yeah.
Didn't they say they had 1,500 people versus 150? Fuck it, Zerg Rush. Just send them all.
I think the real
I
count
don't
was
care.
like 4,000. I thought
3,000 versus 155.
Well, there's
Jesus Christ, yeah.
Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah.
The reading some of the things before this to catch up on the history, it seemed like there were multiple attacks every day for the 5 days, and they would be preceded by a very short period of time of 81 millimeter mortar support fire, and then wave attacks. And yeah, I mean, they really just pushed these guys across this field to their deaths in a way. And it's like they try to do that in film, but it's super fucking, Gettysburg with Range Rovers and 30 cals. But it's interesting that they didn't change their tactics at all. Like they didn't attack at night or anything.
That's. I mean, I think they do.
But
I think they do ish in the movie. I know they changed their angle of approach and stuff like that a bunch of times in the movie, but it's still the same. Like just throw bodies. And I mean, I understand that is a tactic in history of that era that other countries did use. I'm just Brian, go ahead.
mercenaries are, soldiers of fortune. And so why would they do the fucking bad parts of soldiering, like fighting at night or shit that they can avoid? So maybe that's where it comes from. Maybe
I think that's
pushing these idiots into their deaths because this is my job today.
Well, and also, like Chris said, it's like we get more of a paycheck.
Well, see,
Depending, right? Like if it is like all your people, this is how much money you're gonna make. Like, all right, cool.
Well, it's
kill as
local
many as
militia
we can.
groups, but yeah. Yep.
see, like this sort of stuff is like things that I find more interesting that I think would have been more interesting if more of it was in the movie.
Right.
Like, I mean, the Colonel Sanders gets shot, and it's like, obviously, that's the guy who's going to pay them or something. But it really was, it was kind of like, it wasn't super easy to figure that out,
Well, no, they're being paid by like the part of the French
to.
government that De Gaulle was in charge of. If you caught that early on.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it's like they were being paid by.
I thought Colonel Sanders was like the owner of the mines or whatever, and that's why.
Well, he was one of them, yes.
Yeah, but like still
so
stuff like that.
yeah.
Oh, hold on a second, Brian. And
yeah, no worries.
but because I was sitting there, and it just seems like this line comes out of guys, and to going into the fighting now, this line comes out. There's like a repetitiveness throughout the movie where like they come out, they shoot a little bit at the Irish, and then eventually they go retreat, 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 and they pull back, and then they come out again, and then they get shot at, and they go retreat, retreat, retreat.
Exactly,
And it's like.
yeah.
It just seemed like the Irish were just kicking their asses the whole time. I never really felt. I understand that no one was actually killed, but it just seems like I don't know. There was a weirdness to the way the combat played out.
I have a feeling that Brian's going to comment on that, and Chris can go after that. Yep.
Yes, but no. So there's a funny thing on the money from the Africa Adio thing is that for part of it, they follow this mercenary group that like attacks a village, and I think it's actually in the Congo, and they rob a bank. There's a bank that they blow the doors open and take it, and the narrator goes, and the whites get the paper money, but the blacks get the coins. It's like fucking, it kind of shows the hierarchy. Yeah. So it's like all these like white guys kind of got like money, and they burn it later. They don't give a shit about like it's fake money or it's not not there. It's very interesting, and it kind of shows the small differences, in these units, or if you even want to call them that. So,
Christopher.
Yeah. So, talking about Colonel Sanders and his untimely demise, right? And the French mercenary leader, right? Like, I felt like, okay, like they killed the dude, but like he was there for like 2 seconds, right? But he's like a big deal, but you don't really care that he dies. Like, you're like, cool.
Yeah.
Same shit as always. Like, if they're going to be more of like the action area, and I think that's where they start, where we talked about earlier, right? They're flirting between that documentary versus action type movie. And like, you don't build any empathy between any of like the French mercenary or the Colonel Sanders type figure or the Mugatu dude. Because you just don't care if they die or live. Like, you kind of care about the Irish because it's kind of about them, but like, do you really? Like, I feel like they could have done a little bit more of a better directive of trying to actually like have us connect to who's involved in this conflict and like praying for their well-being, right? Like, and I felt like maybe that could have helped a little bit with like it not being so cheesy, or maybe maybe it would have been.
Oh,
more
he's
cheesy.
red pilled. He's red pilled.
But
I mean,
it's just
it has to do in the directing
got
and the
him.
writing, and also the editing. But when Colonel Sanders did first pop up on screen, though, I don't know about you guys, but I was like, man, I hope that guy gets shot. Just like, you just know that that's one shady fucker right there.
It's like but there's still like no like actual connection because you don't really know what he does. He's just kind of like the G-Man in Half-Life. He's always just there in the background. It's like, okay, I get that you're an evil son of a bitch. I get you have ulterior motives, and like when he gets killed, like Chris said, like nobody bats an eye. It's just like, oh shit. Okay, we're gonna focus on the hospital that happened, not the hospital, the fucking radio station that happened 30 miles north of us, and okay, orders are orders. They're not taking orders from him; they're being paid by him, and he wants to see where his money's going.
Right.
But he's only one player in the vast amount of shit fucks that are paying these guys.
Right. Like
because they have the interest of the mind. It's all about money for them. It's all about money and profit. So.
Like, you can connect us to wanting that motherfucker dead so freaking hard in, like, 15, 20-second scene, right? You show the mine, show him whipping slaves and all that shit, and you show the Colonel Sanders giving the French dude money to go and kill off the Irish at Jadotville, right? Easy enough. Now you're like, I want this motherfucker dead like when we nuked Japan. I want it done so hard, they never come back. Don't fuck with our boats. And at this point, don't fuck with my mind. So, easy enough. I've already solved your movie. Hire me, Netflix. I can do it.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Excellent take.
I have one question real quick. You keep saying Mugatu. Who are you talking about?
Fuck, dude. I don't even remember. Like, I remember, like, it was, like,
You're talking about, like, the guy who takes over, like, the government in the Congo, like, that first dude?
Sure, maybe. Yeah,
Not
that dude.
Like the
Not
politicians.
the Will Ferrell
Yeah,
character from Zoolander.
Yeah, because you keep saying Mugatu, and I always just think of Will Ferrell and Zoolander, and that's why I just threw in the link.
For me, it's like, they're kind of the same evilness, right?
Kill
like,
the Prime Minister of Malaysia, right? Like, that's where we're at? Okay, all right. Okay.
They all evil people look the same to me.
I can't wait to see what the thumbnail is for this one.
I invented the piano key necktie. I invented it.
It's going to be Mugatu photoshopped in where Colonel Sanders was.
Yeah, Ryan, I think...
Just call it Kentucky Fried Night.
I think you had your hand up. Do you remember?
I did, but I forgot.
Okay.
So. The way that week's going.
That's
Sorry.
my bad.
Jesus Christ.
I'm sorry.
I think this is early Alzheimer's. I'm just forgetting everything. So.
No, dude, I forget shit all the time. Like
I know, Churchill. You don't have to remind me, okay?
Brian, we are kind of here for you, kind of.
Jesus Christ, we haven't gotten to
Thanks, Ike.
IMFDB yet.
I'm doing it right now, and it's very long.
Oh boy.
Yeah, so this will be fun. So,
Yeah,
Chris
that's what she
Hoffer, you can kind of just sit back and learn some cool shit like you've learned because you've been red pilled by shit that goes on behind scenes. So, all right.
All right, I got to pull up.
Oh, also, really quick, a caveat, because I know at this point a bunch of French-speaking people that are listening to this
We don't
are
care
going
about
to be pissed that we're calling it Jadotville. It's Jadotville. I know. It's a Belgian fucking
Is
town.
it Belgian? Yeah.
Yeah, when
But-
they don't have to be bailed out in a world war, they can have an opinion at the adult table, okay? Fucking A.
Okay, I was going to get to that, but you just kind of streamlined that
You
shit.
kind of occupied the question, so I'm not even going to touch it.
And here's the thing is, like, they'll be like, You know, you dumb Americans. You cannot put on French at all. It is not
croissant, that's all I
Jadotville.
hear.
It
And
is
Michael's like,
Jadotville.
JX no whales.
Yep.
As bad as me
So,
earlier. So
this is
It was me, actually.
a friendly conflict we're going to have with all you French-speaking people. We are antagonizing you because you cannot pronounce English perfectly, and if you can, please make a video and let us know in the comments.
I've yet to see that.
Mike.
So, yeah, I've yet to see that
Mike?
too. So, no,
Mike?
no. Yeah, it's just
yeah.
fucking.
Yeah, it's too close to what it is. Yeah,
Nate, I told you you're gonna be fucked
and
tonight.
Michael
for
pulls out
editing.
the Play-Doh.
it's okay. It hasn't been that bad. We haven't said Gandhi.
He did again. We'll cut that out. Okay, it's been a month now. Have you looked it up?
I have not. No.
It has not been. Well, has it been a month? I don't know.
It's
I don't
been
remember.
about a month, Nate.
Okay.
Come on.
That one just came out this Monday.
What
so
are the
yeah.
statutes?
We're hitting Brian threshold, so we gotta
I'm
hurry.
like gonna pass out in my chair.
yeah.
You can make it, Brian. You can do this. The Walter B-38, that was a good touch because, yeah, that was going to be surplus at that time. That was going to be very easy to
He
get.
says he fought in World War II as well, so maybe that's what they're trying to.
Perhaps, yeah. But like even so, it's either his or it was surplus, and he was able to get it. So yeah, easy, good touch.
I thought that was interesting to see. It's on there. So.
Yep.
Oh, 1911.
Hightower?
Wow.
High power.
Yep.
Yep.
I'm not taking
Every
the bait,
time.
Nate. I'm not
Every
taking the bait
time.
tonight.
Every time.
Not doing it tonight. But yes, I know it's a Browning High Power. Absolutely would be there. Absolutely very common.
Yeah.
Interesting. They're post-war.
Yeah.
Well,
Or
yeah,
post conflict.
Post 61?
73.
Really?
Yeah, go down to the next comment, Nate. The external extractor
Oh,
and
okay.
spur hammer indicate. I don't know that much about
Yeah, me
post 45 production high powers, but that's interesting.
Cool, but whatever. It's a
Fucking
high power.
far.
Well, there's a lot of Farby shit in here. So the FNFAL,
The
yes.
FAL. The wooden stocks was interesting. I'm not too sure about that.
Well, they were trying to go for the L1A1 look, I think, but like because of what you said, that would not make
Yeah.
sense. Well, they
I'll have
could
to
have
look
had
at
some
photos
leftover
again.
G1 stocks, but maybe
G1s were made in Germany, I'm pretty sure, though. Or were they contracted?
I
have to look it
don't
up
remember.
again.
But anyway, yeah, it's not likely. I would say.
As far as I know,
it's not.
FALs were plastic the whole time, and L1A1s and G1s are the ones that had wood until they can whatever.
That's what I understand as well.
Well, wait.
So,
Do they have the metal escutcheon on the back for the stock? Because then they're G1 lowers.
Give me one sec. Let's
Because
see if I can
this is
find
metal
something.
escutcheon. I can't really
There's
see it.
nothing really like. Yeah, there's not. I'd have to pull up the movie. But
Yeah, it's
yeah,
fine.
yeah.
yeah. But anyway, it's
or G1s have like this 1/2 to 3/4 inch metal escutcheon on the back and the front of the stock to reinforce it. That's a way to tell. So
yep. But it's. I think that. But do you agree that that's what we're trying to do? Is like try to make them look like L1A1s because pretty much
Yeah,
every
possibly,
FAL
but-
is that I've seen is like every at this time period would be.
is that
Well,
KLMK? On the
Where?
guy on the right?
No, it's just blurry.
Oh, okay.
I think it's some kind of like woodland variant or whatever.
I did see Woodland that was like
I
Oh,
did too.
you're
61.
I saw that.
you're
Hopefully we can
speaking
catch
camo
that. Yep.
speak.
when they roll the
Okay.
guy into the stretcher. I was like,
Yep. Hopefully we can. Hopefully there's a
Yeah.
picture of that. But like it's. I saw that too. I caught that. Yeah. So FAL.
that's 3HK. Squeeze, breathe.
Wait a second.
kill,
Go up.
breathe
Go up.
again.
Oh, it looked like a G3. Like the angle. Okay. Go down. We're fine. Okay. So the G3.
G3s.
Yep. But these are also very new in 61.
I didn't see if the dish got fired. That'll be interesting to see.
Didn't G3? Well, the Sepmies came out in the 50s.
58.
And I'm not sure when they adopted the G. I thought the G3 was 63 for some reason.
It could have been. It
Click
could have
on-
been 61. It could have been
Jamie,
whatever.
click on H&K G3. Let's see what it says. No,
Yeah, because I know the set me was
Oh,
like
do you want-
58.
Okay, I won't do it.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, fine.
click on the hyperlink.
Well, no, and like
What?
the Germans
What
were
do you
using
mean
the
hy- oh.
G1. The Germans.
No,
were
I don't want to know about that. No,
job.
go away. No,
What year? Yes, I know
You
it's
have-
based off the MP45.
I don't care about
Oh.
fishing. Gotta go
using,
back
you
to
have
that.
fucked this all up, Jamie.
Jamie, go down.
It moves the fucking ad in
The-
front of my
the wheel
face.
in the
It's
middle of your
Jamie,
mouth.
Jamie, pull it up.
Jamie,
You're not doing it right.
we're
No,
almost
come on.
we're almost there. Keep going. A little
Everyone's
more.
just yelling
Go
at
down,
me.
Give me
down.
half of an inch. Give me
Da-
another half inch.
That's what she
what she
said,
said.
and
That's
then
what
she
she
died.
Give me another half inch.
And she died.
It's France. Blah,
1959.
blah, blah, blah.
Interesting. So they are.
This
They're
is all
very
just,
new,
like,
though.
this is
Yeah.
just a wall of text for me. I don't even know what. You
Yeah,
guys are
so
looking
that
at.
that to me would be like
Question marks. They made it to
question
Rhodesia very
mark.
late. That was because
Well, yeah, but Rhodesia was in 66 post
60,
66.
64 to 80. But
Yeah,
they
but
show
like
up in Rhodesia,
G3s didn't start
77.
showing up until like the late 60s.
Well, there were all these arms embargoes where they weren't allowed to like send weapons
Yeah.
to.
Well, no, because
so-
West Germany was not allowed to sell war material at all to
Mm-hmm.
any country, and they got around it somehow. But like, yeah, it was the late 60s, early 70s.
We used the
I
mountain
think.
Nazis. The Swiss really know how to get things done.
Right. So,
Nazis.
but yeah,
Not
it's like,
wrong.
okay, where is the? Okay, there it is. Yeah, there's the
Yeah.
G3.
Haven't heard that before?
Nope. Nope.
Number 4 Mark 1.
Yeah.
They would have probably been the Mark 2, but there would have been Mark 1s mixed in for sure. But at this point, it's 61, they would have been Mark 2s. They would have been updated.
They just switched over to. Well, I think they only had Mark ones, but anyway, it was a number 4 receivers or rifles, whatever. They switched over in the
Yeah.
late 50s, and they kept a lot of the earlier SMLEs for grenade launching functions. I only know this because I have an Irish SMLE, and also if you ever see the movie Blue Max, which we'll do eventually, which is a really bad World War I movie, they filmed it in Ireland, and all of the Germans or all the Brits are using SMLEs, and all of the Germans are using number 4s because it was right around the time where they were modernizing their army, so it's pretty funny. But
Good shit.
yeah.
See that number 4 Mark 1T. Okay.
Beautiful sniper rifle.
Yeah, it probably would
Yeah.
have
It's
been a Mark
one of the best
2T,
looking
though.
ones.
Yeah, it's a really good looking rifle. It's a great. I mean, I love the number 4 platform. That's my favorite Enfield platform that they have.
Yeah. Well, the cheek rest is what really is nice about this one. It's really the only rifle during the war that had a cheek, or the Second World War that had a cheek rest. The Soviets had a way of making a cheek rest out of your scope cover, but that's another story.
And the M1C, they kind of had that like leather thing that like they started to develop, and then it just wasn't used towards
yeah.
the end.
Yeah,
But it
well,
wasn't.
the only-
It wasn't part of the stock. It was like a separate
only-
piece.
Yeah, the only time you see the M1C ever saw combat was shooting Japanese holdouts in the Philippines in the late 45.
Yeah, that's
So
what I'm saying. It was like so late,
yeah,
and then
super,
in
super
Korea
late.
they got a lot of
yeah.
use, but like
They
yeah.
realized the Garand's a horrible sniping platform.
Yeah,
like the
Mauser
G43
rifle. So
is.
this is looks like a fucking Turkish Mauser or Spanish. Yeah, they said Spanish and Turkish. Yeah, it's probably a 93 of either one. That's a
that one that-
K98.
It's that sniper.
Or no, that's
scene.
not.
No,
No,
it's
that's
not.
well, he was holding. Yeah, he's holding a K98. That's a K98.
Yeah.
That's definitely a K98.
Yep.
You can see that, and you can see like they didn't have that, but like you can see in the
A lot of
movie,
the
it's a
Yugo
K98.
M45s or whatever, the
M48s.
K98s though. Sorry, a lot of the Czech K98s that they made at the DUT factory at 45 to like 48 ended up in Africa.
Right, but so it doesn't have the extended handguard. So it's
No,
not
no,
a
no,
DOT.
they wouldn't have. No, no, no. It's not the actual DOT 45s, the K98s or the
before they
44s
before they started making the
before the M48s. Yeah, because a lot of those
Well, no,
ended up in
the M48
Ethiopia.
yeah.
with they had the line
Yeah.
of Judah in the stock. But yeah,
Yeah,
the
we're getting way too deep in the fucking weeds again. But
yeah,
like,
but it's relevant. But no,
So this is a K98.
it's K98, yeah, K98 style. But a lot of the communist bloc made K98s before the M48s ended up in Africa, and they were used everywhere.
Yep.
But you see a lot of the Lion and Judah ones that come out of Royal Tiger today. So
1934, right, Brian?
No, we're not
No,
doing
it's
that.
definitely-
We're not doing
it's
that.
definitely a com block K98. But
Okay.
I love me Swedish K.
Yeah. Good stuff.
It's such a sexy looking fucking machine gun.
It's it's patterned off the Sten, so it's easy.
Well, they pattern
like-
off basically everything in Europe. It's kind of funny. The Australians did the similar thing with the F1.
Yep.
Because at the starting of the Second World War, they had, I think, a Thompson, an MP38, and there's one other machine gun in the country, and they put those all together to make an F1 eventually after the Owen. But yeah, the Carl Gustav was the same thing. In 45, they just basically relied on the MP40, the Sten, and all the other designs from the war. And the Swedes made probably one of the best submachine guns ever made.
Yep. Agreed.
One of the best stocks ever made too. It's fucking the MP40 stocks are horrible. If you ever
yeah.
get to play
This
with
one's
one.
actually sturdy.
Oh, it's
like
sturdy as
that.
fuck. It
Yep.
folds away. It's a really great gun.
Yep.
And they made them in 9mm and 45, I believe, and they're very easy
Well,
to convert.
we got a contract for them like during the 60s, from what I understand. I could be wrong.
Mm-hmm.
We had a contract for them to be in 45, and that's when the Smith & Wesson Model 76 came out.
Yeah, because it was cheaper to make. So
And they copied it, and they were just
yeah.
like, yeah, well, we could do it in 45. Fucking A, yeah, we got it.
There's
So,
like
but
two
yeah,
photos of 76s in country too. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, they were there, but like not in big numbers. But yeah, they were
No.
there. So,
But yeah,
we
Swedish
already
Gate's
saw
great.
that. Yep.
Gustav 45. The same guy that made the Carl Gustav that you see earlier in the film.
Yeah, was that around in 61?
I think it was actually, yeah.
We'll go
That's
down.
the thing
we'll,
that
we'll-
fucking-
we'll read all about it because they'll
the
probably have
Gustav
it.
makes you fucking deaf. But
Yeah, and the Rangers still use it. They love that thing.
Did
my buddy went deaf in Afghanistan because he had to use one
Yeah,
without
they're,
plugs.
I didn't-
Bayonet
I
mounts
didn't
on
know
the
that. Yeah, I was gonna say I didn't know they had.
Yep.
They had
If you
bayonets
look-
for
I
'em.
didn't know either,
right
and that's a
below
number
the-
9 bayonet. So it's
Yeah.
like I don't know about that.
But what is a number 9? Is that like a British bayonet? Or
It's
British blade
basically
bayonet.
just a blade instead of a spike.
okay.
The Korean
It's a-
War.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, they're like they're after World War II, before Korea, but like they use
Right.
them in
Yeah.
Korea.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
It's
yeah.
like
The other one, too, that
Korean
was
War
the-
bayonets that we have
The
for the
flip,
US.
the one that had the bake plate handle that the back flips up, and you like you shoot through the
fucking
hole.
rare.
And
Very
then, yeah,
rare. Yep.
but then they got rid of them because guys would hit the metal, like it would,
And it
If
would
you have a
heat
hole,
up so much
it's
it
not
would
perfect.
fucking crack the bake light. Yeah, it's
Oh, I didn't know
was
about
dumb.
it, but they did use those in Korea for a little bit. So
yeah. Well, they had them.
I think those are based off the German SG-42 bayonets, but that's another story. Mat 49s are awesome. Another great machine gun.
Great submachine gun. Yep.
I like to call it the murder box.
It's a simple submachine gun that worked great, and it was in so many conflicts. And yeah,
Oh yeah,
the Franchi. What the fuck's an LF-57?
That thing.
yeah. That was the one scene from the film. The guy's dead at the end.
Well, no, it shows a guy shooting it. There it is. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right
Yeah.
here. Yeah.
Oh, I did see. Oh, I saw there's one dude who's like murked at the end.
I have no
Next
fucking
to
clue
his
what this
body.
is. I've never seen
I-
it before.
You could buy one of these in Nazi
I
zombies.
saw it.
Remember
It's in
that?
the movie RoboCop. I remember that.
I think they're Italian.
Well, Franchi is an
Oh,
Italian
it's
company.
hey,
yeah.
hey, Mike A. It's in Total Recall.
Okay.
Thumbumbrella?
Oh, hey, nice.
Thumbelina.
I think that's that.
It's the midget.
This.
Recall was 1990.
It was, yeah.
Wow.
It was post
Yeah,
80s.
that
Yeah.
late.
Ghost of Mars. Oh damn, that is a
I
flashback.
could have sworn that was in RoboCop. I guess not.
All right, so
Maybe-
Nate, go back.
Maybe it's in it, but
They
like
didn't put it in there.
all customized. Yeah.
This was cool.
Yeah, the Veneron, the Spanish submachine
Yeah.
gun. Yeah. Yep.
They're fucking lucky.
All right,
Wake
the
up,
Bren-
Brian.
Wake up. So this is a Mark 1. I actually don't know the differences. Like looking
Mark
at
ones have a roller coaster sight. Mark twos have a ladder sight. There's also a lot of other differences, but that's the easiest way to tell.
it. So this is a Mark 1. Okay.
It's got the same sight as a Czech.
Yeah, the ZB-28.
I could have
Oh.
sworn.
Oh, that's
I could-
interesting. He uses a Mark II when he does the shot, though,
I could have.
because it's got a
I
ladder
could have
sight.
sworn.
But how many Brens did they have? They could have
multiple
a,
Brens, but
yeah,
it's just
so,
interesting.
Yeah, they would have
Yeah.
used multiple ones for the shot. But I could have sworn when he puts the round in, it has a dimple on the primer, like it's a round that was it.
Let's see.
It does. I saw that. Yeah.
I don't think they
Oh, we can't
they don't
see
show it here, but yeah, if you go back to the scene, I could have sworn it did.
Well, it's a dummy round.
definitely
Of course,
spent-
it's gonna.
Right.
Yeah. Well, they weren't on the set of Rust, so they were using actual dummy ammunition.
This is way before Rust, man.
I know, but still. This is-
Okay, so that's a Mark 1, and then that's a Mark 2 with the ladder set. Okay.
Yep.
The
The barrels are different, too.
Has anyone ever seen the sights? I've never seen a Mark II in person. Is the
That's totally
peep
correct.
sight? No. I know. Is that bent forward?
What do you mean?
Because this sight's bent forward and twisted.
You can see
right
by the
here.
way the sun comes
No.
off it on the image.
And
yeah.
same with this. I was wondering if it's meant to be.
It's
that.
a little darker on the.
I don't think it's
around the
meant
peep.
to.
Yeah.
I don't think. No.
I have
Okay.
no idea how you caught
Yeah.
that.
Well, I can tell. I know what he's talking about.
Welcome to my world.
That's like me and my level of autism with data. Like just that. Like
Yeah.
We like
I
to call it
respect it.
weaponized autism.
Nate's an
Yeah.
Nate's an editor. Nate's an editor. I'm an artist. Details are our life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm just
Yeah,
a
respect
fucking
it.
nobody
You're a detail nerd too.
who likes guns. Yeah, no, it's just it's. I just don't know everything. That's the thing. Is like I'm like fucking weird. Oh, weird. This is what we've never seen before in a film ever. Is the M2
No.
heavy barrel?
There was one scene where like a guy's shooting it and they're running in the battle, and another guy has his hand on it as they're driving over shit.
Oh, I know. And so I was going to
Okay,
address that. Thank you so much
This
for bringing
shit.
that up.
This shit bothers me. Every time I saw this dude one-arming a pistol doing covering fire from 100 yards. Come on. Like,
Grab
I
a
hate
fucking
that shit.
rifle from one of the
I
many
hate
dead
that
militia
shit.
guys.
I hate that shit.
Also, that fucking M2 on that mount, on that small of a vehicle, would be rocking that son of a bitch. The vehicle would be moving with every shot.
No, I totally disagree. What would happen is that he'd lay on a burst, and by the 5th round, he'd fucking rip the undercarriage out.
Okay, I was gonna say, are you disagreeing with me? But like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah. I knew a guy that destroyed a mutt because he didn't mount it correctly to the fucking frame, and like 5 rounds in, the fucking floor came off.
Dude,
so, like,
That must have been a hell of an
the power of a 50 cal.
It's so
recoil is
insane.
insane.
It's like that literally, like, I've said this probably before in a podcast, but I'll say it again. That is the only gun that gave me a literal hard on when I shot it in the military. That fucking gun. I've shot a Mark 19. That thing just scared the shit out of me. I'm like, when is this going to cook off? This thing is so weird. But like that fucking the M2, when you shoot that fucking thing with live rounds, that son of a bitch is, oh God, it's so goddamn powerful. You're like, I'm handling this son of a bitch right now, and it's not killing me. I would definitely not want to be on the receiving end of this thing. But like, we would put it on a tripod as infantry. We put it on a tripod with sandbags if we had time. And we'd sit down, put our weight on the fucking tripod. You know, your 2 legs are on there with your flak vest and everything. Yep. And it would still, it rises everything up. And it's like, this fucking gun has so much power that it never comes across in movies. Ever. I've never seen one. Ever. That does, because they're all blanks or they're just CGI or whatever. And it's like, that fucking gun is so powerful.
It's a short.
No, it's
piston,
blowback. It's direct blowback. The fucking bolt on that son of a bitch weighs like probably 12, 13 pounds. And it's like, holy shit, because you take the bolt, or the whole bolt block out, rather, and the son of a bitch is like this big in my hands. It's like, Jesus. And then you take apart like the intricacies, you take apart the bolt and everything. And it's a closed bolt weapon. So it's like, it's just straight blowback because that round is so fucking powerful. And it's like, it's like a bigger 30 cal.
Well, like, yeah, exactly. Well, you can't see a 30 cal barrel reciprocate because it's in a jacket, but a 50 cal you can. And that's why it's just like, watching the barrel go back. It goes back
amazing.
further, but like,
it's so fucking cool.
So when the guy had his hand on it, I was like, no.
Dude, my God.
Where's my wrist?
Your hand would be gone because those things, even if they're not white hot, which we did that once. Shh. Not going to say what unit I was in, but we did this once.
Well, 50 years later, we tried to do accuracy testing, and the MOA was all off. I have no idea why.
We had these fuckers so hot because we were trying to get everybody through the range so we could all go home, or like home the barracks. Is like we got these things so you could literally see the fucking rounds going through the barrel. It was that hot. They were flatlined, of course. Sorry, whoever had to deal with that. Fucking, hand receipt and all that, had to deal with all that. But we got that thing so fucking hot, and it's like, it was literally, if you put water on there, water would just, as soon as it got within an inch of that fucking thing, it would be vaporized. And so, if you're going to be shooting a 50 cal and you put 30 rounds through that fucking thing, that barrel is going to be so goddamn hot, they still issued us asbestos fucking gloves to touch it with because it's so, and like they were smoking, which I know it's probably not good for lung cancer, but cancer awareness, thank you. But no, it's like you shoot 20 rounds through that fucking thing. It's gonna be so hot, your hand will fucking vaporize. So yeah, not realistic.
Very quick side story.
I think Nate was first.
Oh, sorry, Nate.
Oh, was he? Nate, I wasn't paying attention. I'm looking at the 50 cal because it gives me a fucking hard on.
I'll pass it to Brian immediately. Mine's a very small thing. There was the beginning of the conversation was relevant. Now it's ancient history. There was at Reading Air Show. It's supposed to have been like 2012. There was a vehicle that a guy, a certain generation owned. We all know who. Had a 50 cal, a 30 cal, and a Thompson strapped to his Jeep. He had the 50 cal in the back on the mount. He had a 30 cal on the side mount, and then he had a Thompson in like a scabbard.
Yep. Yep.
and we called it the Death Star
Yeah.
because it was so fucking stupid.
Is he
looking.
Dragon Man?
Yeah.
That's Joe D. Giovanni, and he had the Death Star, which was the Jeep that had all the shit on it, and then he had the half track was more machine
So
guns.
you actually know who I'm
Yeah, I
talking
know
about
you're
by
talking,
who?
we also called it the same things. But the Death Star was the Jeep, and then it was the Star Destroyer was the half
Yeah.
track.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
yep.
Yeah, but we called it the Death Star because we just thought that was fucking funny because it was
Oh,
so
it's- yeah.
incredibly
That's my
stupid
attack
looking.
vehicle.
Yep.
Yeah.
So just very, very quickly, my buddy that just passed away, unfortunately, I was gonna have him on the podcast, my buddy, but he's not with us anymore. He had a story from Afghanistan where, long story short, he shot at RPD until destruction. They had to, and they put probably like 2,000 rounds to this thing, and like, you know, as fast as it would shoot it. And he describes the story, like he wasn't the gunner, he was next to the gunner, and he was trying to fumble with the drums and like get fucking shit together to keep the ammunition feeding. And finally, when they ran out of ammo, they threw it away. And all of a sudden, he said it sounded like a fucking cat dying. It was like, and the fucking chamber just shrunk. And like fucking like after the battle, and everything, they were able to examine it and stuff. And like literally, there was a dip in the chamber from the barrel just sagged and melted.
Jesus.
And
yeah.
but he was just like, yeah, dude, it's like a fucking cat being stabbed. Like it's just like it was the worst noise I've ever heard in my life. So. But yeah, like you could push machine guns to the limit, and first they'll run away, and second they'll burn themselves out.
Ronald, shut the fuck up.
Fucking McDonald, fucking shit up.
Oh fuck, shit. Did you get, I thought it was on my
we got
headphones.
that.
I thought I muted that.
Nope.
Speaking of cats,
I was just sitting here listening to Brian, and then all of a sudden, Ronald, shut the fuck up.
Shut the fuck up.
Now,
Okay,
all
my
you
bad.
need to do is you need need to make a character of a boomer named Ronald. It's gonna go by Ronald because he's a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
And then you can just play that every
Use that
time.
soundbite, yeah.
He's sitting outside
I
of my
bet-
door meowing, and it's like
Are you
I'm
sure
so
that was
used to, like-
yours? Because it could be mine. You could
No.
be hearing
It's
mine
Ronald doesn't meow. He does like a squawk because his voice is weird.
like a fucking emu that needs to be fucking
Yeah.
hunted to extinction.
But
Those fucking
I'm
rat
so
bastards.
fucking used to just talking to
Oh.
like people just like on my headphones, not on my decent mic. Thank you. Yeah, you're welcome, podcast.
Oh, Chris, you hate emus, eh?
Fuck yeah.
you what, Mike?
Get you a
My
Lewis gun.
fucking- oh my god. I can see why those fuckers won that war. They're fucking respect to the Australians and having to deal with those fucking bullshit. Alright, long story short, my dad being an entrepreneur, love my dad.
Also a
Entrepreneur-
boomer.
No, he's got boomer tendencies, but let's fuck it. You know what? I don't even care. Don't even want to defend it. Anyways, so being an entrepreneur, he likes to buy and do stupid shit, thinking it's gonna be fucking making him millions. Oh, that's the boomerness. Yep. Okay, I got it. All right. Fucking apparently, Australia exported emus for a while, and so him and his infinite wisdom bought like 4 of the fuckers, and they had exchange students at this time. It was early spring, and so they fucked off because school was over, and they like took them on like a tour of the United States and just expected me to take care of everything when I came home from college. And so like I'm driving the fucking forklift, getting the goats and all that shit taken care of, and I'm walking by the emu pen. And I love dinosaurs. These fuckers have the exact same sound as velociraptors, and I ran so fucking fast because I'm like, nope. Jurassic, I'm not fucking today, Jesus. Not your dinosaur bullshit's not killing me today. But they're vicious. They will fucking peck at you while looking you in the eye. I'm like,
there's and this will be very quick. There's a woman who like takes care of like rescued emus or something like that, and there's this one emu that's constantly trying to kill her because it doesn't like women. And she's constantly like
it is a boomer?
she's constantly she's like our age, I think, but she like turns around and the emu is
a
emu's a boomer. Sorry, she has to have her phone out because she has to make sure, and the emu's called Karen. She has to make sure the emu doesn't try to stomp her to death because it's trying to take her out. But the noises it makes, you're not joking when it says that. It's like it's like when the raptors jump on the kitchen, in Jurassic Park. It's like that. Like that. It's fucking creepy.
Yeah. So
Anyway,
okay,
we're getting back.
all right,
1984.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
1984. Yeah, we've seen that. Yeah, that's definitely historically accurate. That thing was used all over the world. It's still being used.
Look at that. What a badass.
That guy.
That's literally copied from the fucking Africa Adio scene.
Oh, really?
Except he was doing it. He literally clears a village with it in like the.
There's a
film.
lot of
Pretty
scenes
insane.
that I saw were copied from various things. Band of Brothers.
Yeah, dude,
Saving Private Ryan. Saving Private Ryan.
he's gonna steal things because fuck, dude, you can't get big booty bitches in here. It's not a music video. It's gotta come up with something.
Nice.
Well, perhaps.
When we were filming the music video for Mia Khalifa's "Bring My Milkshake to the Yard," yes, it was amazing. But we have to bring more of that essence into this movie.
Oh my God. Yeah.
That was perfect.
Yes, we have to. We don't have the chance for tits, but we need more machine guns.
No, we gotta come up with like a tits versus machine gun ratio, and like the movie needs to be within this line.
2.739.
Ooh,
Our algorithm has determined tits to MG.
shit, I'll create this algorithm for us.
Oh God, it's like that Jackie Brown. You ever see that? Fucking Tarantino.
Once.
Where like Samuel L. Jackson's like a gun dealer. In the beginning, it's like these late 80s, early 90s, like, you know, machine gun videos where it's like just chicks in the desert with like, you know, scantily clad with like Uzis. I'm Tamiya and I love my AK.
I remember that, yeah. Where it's like, super 80s, like perm hair, like bikini chicks.
Oh,
yeah.
dude, I think it's a real video.
Oh, no. That
Because
was
they
a
had
real
that
video.
shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like,
So
it's just fucking
Did
funny.
anyone see the Dishka fire at all?
I don't remember, but
No.
I did in one scene.
that's a real Dishka, though, right?
I think so.
It
Yeah.
is, yeah.
That's not a
real.
prop, is it?
If it's not,
That's
it looks really
100%
good.
real.
Okay.
Yeah, that looks real to me.
Yeah.
We've
a real
seen our
Dishka.
fair share of not. Dishkas.
That's why I ask.
It
Yeah.
reminds me. It was funny on some of the ammo cans for the 50 cals and stuff. You could see the stickers for blank ordnance.
Yes.
They're just shooting
Yep,
air
yep,
out
yep,
of it.
yep.
They're not even killing. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Like, how are people not incredibly anal retentive when it comes to shit like that? Like,
They usually
I
are.
Surprised.
would be.
Yeah.
Oh, you would be, but like that's why I told you never make a fucking film.
For like
Or do they
80
or do you just get beat down so much you're like, fuck it, I don't
Or
know.
some of it.
Well, no,
87
it's a lot of what
the-
you can resource and like what you can come up with and whatever. But it's like with this, it's a Netflix film. They probably had a decent budget. Like, it's good to see a real Dishka. We've seen way
Yeah,
worse.
yeah.
The
on previous
beast. I think the
films.
beast is the worst.
With the electrical
Yeah,
tape
'cause-
around it.
Yeah.
Yep.
For most film productions, 80% of the people working there, it's a job.
Yep.
And that's it.
It's not a passion.
exactly.
It's like, oh, I don't do overtime. Like, what the fuck, dude? Like, you know, I'm a camera guy or XYZ. Like, you know, it just
Sounds
it's
like
a job.
not my fucking problem.
We need the ammo can. Where's the ammo can? We don't care if it's a 1990s Yugoslavian piece of shit that didn't exist in World War One, but we need
Well,
the ammo can. So get the
Another
ammo
thing
can.
to really think about too, and like when I say this, I mean films like from way long ago, like before the internet. It was kind of like, well, it looks right, so that's good enough. You know, that was usually
Yeah.
the
I
attitude.
saw this in a book. It looks close
Right?
enough.
Yeah, like no one's gonna, because again, the internet didn't exist unless you're like a guy who owns something like that. Who the hell's gonna know?
Do you happen to work
Right.
at a university in the United States or the United Kingdom? Do you have access to the supercomputer? You are now on the internet. But yeah, no, it was just, or they would have the military help out. Like, for example, like when they did Pork Chop Hill, they look really good, but they're late 1950s Marines. And they look different than early 1950s Marines. So, you know, there's a little bit of difference with the gear and stuff. But they're like, oh, the military's helping us, so they'll have all the correct gear. It's like, yeah,
Yeah,
they're soldiers,
exactly,
but not
yep.
for the time period you're trying to portray. So, but long story short, that's a real dish gun. It looks really cool.
Yeah.
A real, yeah, I love
Oh,
it. That's a real
my
tripod,
baby.
too.
My
Yeah,
fucking baby.
good old mag.
This fucking thing, this is one of the best machine guns ever made, ever.
I personally like them with a wooden stock more, but that's just me. I know.
Yeah,
it
but you
doesn't
can't do that
matter, and
because of Seaburn, or it was NBC when I was in.
Yep.
NBC considerations. And it's like, I would have loved to have a wood stock just for
That
the
is-
looks.
yeah, it's probably one of the. I think the G1 with the wood stock, but my favorite gun with just a wood stock is mag.
The Mag 58, yeah,
Oh, yeah,
that
it's just
fucking. It's just such a fucking good machine gun, man. It's just, it's really simple. It's easy to maintain. I mean, every machine gun's a bitch to clean and maintain, but like this thing is like good. I literally don't think I had one single malfunction. I probably put a couple million rounds through my 240, or a 240 rather, the time that I was in, and never had a malfunction. It was fucking awesome
The only thing
Awesome.
that's changed has been like a few add-ons for the stock, obviously.
Yeah,
and
they've
but
got a
that-
heat shield on the
that-
top, and
That receiver section has not. That riveted receiver has not changed since.
no,
1950.
it has not. The
know?
barrel, like they put a heat shield on there, and the compensator changed. That's it.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, and the bipod rather. But anyway, go ahead to the Vickers. I'm glad they put the Vickers in here because that thing was used so fucking long. It was in service for so many years. It's absolutely fucking
I felt
insane.
so bad for the driver in that Jeep. Like the muzzle is right next to his head.
Right there.
Look at that.
Say goodbye to your fucking
That's-
hearing.
That's a VA claim. That's tinnitus. That's 10% for
We
you.
cannot find a link between your service and your tinnitus,
Yeah.
sir. So
These 3M
Well,
earplugs will work perfectly.
my favorite. There's like a meme of like a paratrooper like fucking up, like his head hitting the ground like this, and it's like, we have not found a link between your service history and your injuries.
Oh yeah.
That
It's like
that
unless you
would
get it on
hurt.
video.
That would hurt unless you got some nice cold water in there. I'm just saying.
What's up, John Bassel?
Yeah.
Okay. That's another thing I was going to point out. That fucking thing, the amount that they fired that, I don't give a shit if it's water cooled. That son of a bitch is going to be almost red hot.
It seems to be the common theme I'm seeing is that the real life physics of things pull this movie down for me. Thinking about it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like the props are good. I like the acting. We didn't even talk about that, but it's like I like the acting, I like the props, I liked all that stuff.
Yeah, not bad.
But
Got real Irish actors.
right, yeah. But like, and trust me, there's a lot of O'Malley's in the cast. But the thing is, it's like the physics of it just it's like, oh, well, that would burn the fuck out of your hands, or a 50 cal would rip through that brick wall into your skull. Like
That's
things
why
like that.
you need, you need a lot of, what's I'm calling for, what word I'm looking for, advisors. Yeah, and the director has to listen to them, and the director has to know some shit too.
Well, I'll talk a little bit right before we wrap up about what I was talking about earlier is the whole like rushing forward scene and all that stuff, and how I found out on one film that it was advised, but the director chose to go a different route. But let's go down to the Mark II. Yep. That's a Mark II A1, but like that's fine. Oh yeah, M2, the 60 millimeters. Yep.
Yeah, they were cool.
Probably the best mortar ever made, M260.
It's very, very, very versatile.
Besides a commando mortar and E-mortar, it's like the best small mortar.
Right. That thing can do a lot of fucking damage, and it's not that hard to carry.
No.
Yes, I know. All you fellow 11 Charlies would be like, you never humped a fucking base plate. It's like, would you rather carry a fucking 60 millimeter base plate or an 81 millimeter base plate?
One thing I noticed that was kind of interesting, after they would fire a mortar, I think it might have been on this one, they would put the cover
They
back
put
over
the cap back on.
Yeah, I've never seen that.
That's a fire.
I've never
mission.
seen that before.
That's a fire mission thing. It's
Well,
not
they
very
also
common.
didn't do a fire mission. They were just doing because they had such limited ammo.
Yeah, but like,
it's like-
that's a rounds
yeah.
complete thing though.
Right, and that's why they were doing that because they didn't have enough rounds to do a proper fire mission. It's like, so that just signifies that this tube is cleared. Like Brian said,
Because they're
the
not
fire
just
mission
going to be
is
popping
complete.
off
And,
rounds left and right. Yeah.
No, because they
Right.
can't. They don't have the fucking. They've got such limited. If they had unlimited, they'd be doing 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, that is one thing I think they
Adjust
did
fire.
nail down the mortar stuff. I think pretty well. I can't remember the
No,
numbers he was.
the way they're
calling.
holding it.
But yeah, like there was no
Yeah.
Trust me, if you knew 40 town gap, you know when someone does it wrong. Yeah, I mean, like it's very interesting to see how they did. I can't remember the numbers he was calling. I think they were correct, but yeah.
Yeah. I
Oh
don't
yeah,
remember
you're
either,
a
but,
mortar
they
guy.
were,
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was. He was looking through the. Yeah. It was even these guys were doing it right. They were actually hanging the rounds right.
God, that explosion though, when that round hits the first Jeep, and it's like napalm went off, and that's what set off.
And you see the
like,
fire
no.
spreading. Yeah.
Again, physics. Physics
yeah.
is the problem with this film.
Well, that's also like cinematography. You have to have fiery explosions, otherwise, because people don't understand. Like,
simpletons like me bought it. You need that.
right.
I see fire.
Yes.
I'm like,
You need seats and
We
asses
need-
and seats.
But
yeah, we need to show you wind talkers.
in real
and
life,
you
if
tell
that was a
me-
direct hit with a mortar.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No,
Sorry,
go ahead.
Go ahead. If that was a direct hit with a mortar in real life on that Jeep, it would just be a. things would look different, and there'd be a black plume of smoke, and that's it.
This is my question to Chris. Chris, do you like Wind Talkers?
That's Tom Cruise, right?
No,
Not Tom
Nick
Cruise,
Cage.
It's been a hot minute.
Oh, that's
Okay.
a fun one.
Yeah, that's
I remember, it wasn't
Pyromaniac
bad.
Central. So
I mean, you know, the United States did open a power washing company in the 40s. So.
nice. All right, that's it.
All right, cool.
What was the thing you wanted to talk about, Mike, real quick, and then
Really
we should
quick, so
go to
about
final
the
thoughts.
and then we'll go into our final thoughts, and we'll wrap this bitch up. So the whole charging forward, just kind of whatever, is probably more of a direction thing, because in the film 1917, right, which we haven't done yet, I've done like a mini review on my channel, but like not anything like this. At the end, when they do this whole like massive charge, people are just sprinting as fast as they can forward, and he's like, you know, the whole famous scene from that. There was a guy that was an extra that said that their advisor said they should, you know, he trained them how to be in like squads and platoons and like how they were going to be moving forward with their NCOs and the officers. And it just didn't go that way. In the end, it was like, no, we got to make this cinematic. Jesus, yeah, stumbling on my own words. Cinematic, and so we're going to do it this way. Sam Mendes made that call, and that was the way they did it. Even though they were trained and they were advised a certain way, so that could have happened in this as well.
It happens. It happens a lot.
Yep.
So I've heard many cases of that
yeah,
too.
just that. Yep. All right, Brian, you ready with your very, very advanced computing skills of our final scores?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. What are
I'm
we
all
doing
set.
again?
I got the computer that's going to tell us if the airstrike's going to work this time.
Which it fucking anyway. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool. So who wants to start? Final thoughts. I think Chris.
Our guest.
Well, Chris, the guests are usually last because I think they understand the scoring system, but they can also be biased.
I'm changing.
Okay, you're changing the game. All right, Chris, it's a 1 out of 10, and explain
1 out of 10.
Explain what you liked, disliked, overall, what we talked about, and
10
then
being
give
you
want to
be locked in a room and watch this for the rest of time.
Cool. So it's not Guardians of the Galaxy. Got it.
That's
All right.
a 1, I guess, for your scale.
No, 10. I watched that. Never mind.
Oh, I got you.
Anyways, digressing. Okay, so I'm gonna do two different things. I'm gonna do pre-score coming here, and then now new score from being here. I think,
new thing, excellent.
Right? Well, because you guys brought a whole new like paradigm shift for me in how to look at it versus just my like innately, youthful fun. I think before, like probably an 8 out of 9. Just like I liked it. It was fun. Like it was actiony when it, just kind of involved, right? And like I would YouTube thing or Wikipedia things while I was watching it, right? And kind of like learning the history of it, saw it was real, thought it was cool. I liked that they had like real Irish actors, and it's not fucking just some like Clint Eastwood, right? Or Clint Eastwood trying to do the fucking Genghis Khan, right? Is it Clint Eastwood?
That's John Wayne, dude.
John Wayne.
That's John Wayne, yeah.
Doesn't matter. Yeah. Fucking never watched it. Sounded horrible. Whatever. Does not matter. Shittiness. So I'd give it like an 8 out of 10 on that scale. I think now with the new paradigm, like looking at it more of like from a lens like your guys's, like from a cinematography lens, 6.5 to 7, I'd say. I mean, so then like those things that you were talking about, like we've discussed quite a bit about it trying to flirt between being a documentary and a action film, and really didn't find its way in either, and just kind of kept flopping back and forth between it. The radio, like now that we talked about that, Mike, you really made that clear in my head, like the fuckery in the radio. Like, sure, maybe they did, and that's how everybody knows about their bullshit, but better OPSEC, dumbasses. So yeah, I think that's kind of where I'm at.
So you gotta give it a concrete. You can't say 6 through 7. You gotta give it a concrete. If you want to give decimals,
you can.
That's fine.
You can go decimals. Yeah.
You don't work for a cable company. You got to give us an actual time.
Well, he can go decimals, but like,
sir, I work for the government. It will be between now and 6 to 7 business months. All right.
Okay. What exactly is a business month?
Exactly. You forget that it happens, and so we don't have to do it. That's what business month is.
For me to know, you to find out.
Pre-podcast 8. During podcast 6.75.
Very specific. Okay, cool.
Decent.
So yeah.
Who do you pass the talking pillow to? Who do you want to review next?
Who's the bastard that put me on the spot right away?
I don't know.
Okay, cool, Brian. You can go. Way to volunteer yourself for that one.
Well, yeah, so this is the second time I've seen this film, and after I saw it the first time, I was like, this is awesome, it's very cool, I loved it. It's like, I probably saw it in 2016, 2017. So, in the ensuing, 6 years, I've done a lot with film and movies, and this is the 52nd film we've reviewed on here, so we've kind of seen a lot of, I think we've seen more movies on here, just like the actual tally we've done than most people have seen in their lives. So like, yeah, so it's interesting to come back to it with all that knowledge and stuff. And it was disappointing. I'm not going to lie. Like it held a much, what's the right word? Like it just.
Nostalgic?
Yeah, well, not that. Like I just respected it more, and I thought it was like on more realistic and like on all the aspects. But now coming back to it and watching it, it's like, this is just bad filmmaking. Like really good set designs, really good props. Like a lot of money went into that, but why did you hire a fucking movie video director? Like, you had all this going for you, and then due to a few things, it just got fucked up. And that's a lot of films. Like look at The Wicker Man,
Bees.
You also said movie video director. I'm assuming you said music video director.
A music video director. Yeah.
A movie video director is a director, but
I knew what you meant, Brian.
But yeah,
it's all good.
I
It's all
have
good.
to.
There's gonna be the pedantic
Log
fucks that
have
are
to.
already typing that are going.
It's fine. I might be really tired and whatever, but at least I'm not from Maryland.
Look, you're not
so
hot
I
in
always
your
have that to
eyes,
hold on
all
to.
right? So you're not
And,
that tired. So
No, I just can't pronounce C's apparently. But yeah, so just taking everything into consideration and stuff, I would give it also a 6.5. And if we're gonna have a pre-score going into this, I was like solid 8.58. I'm like, yeah, if I remember, it's pretty good. And then now I'm just like, oh, my favorite thing prior from the film is the fact that they have the actually correct fighter plane that they used. It was a trainer that they modified for machine guns and stuff. And I looked it up, and it has that crazy V-tail and everything. And I'm like, that's cool. Like that. That's a level of like authenticity they really wanted to get right. They could have put any plane. Usually they have Texans or whatever, something. But they got the jet right. But everything else sucked. So 6.5. And that being said, I pass the talking pillow on to you, Michael.
Yeah, as someone who had not seen this before, again, I came in and I was like, okay, I can already see, just from the poster, I'm like, this is going to be about a very specific true event that happened that nobody knows about, that's obscure. And I don't know, I kind of could sense everything where it was going. But it did have some stuff in it that I thought was cool. Like I said, I kind of liked some of the characters in it. I thought the main guy was fine. He was a good character. I thought I guess he's the protagonist, the French mercenary. I thought that was kind of a cool character, and I kind of liked their little dynamic a little bit, to where it's like they have respect for each other, but they're thrown into this shitty scenario, but it's what they do. It's their job, so they have to do it. That was kind of cool, but that's minor, and you could do that kind of in any other movie. But overall, I just kind of saw, I could see where a lot of things were going. At the end of the day, I kind of wish it was about something else within the history of this in terms of a story. And other than that, it was kind of by the book. So I'm going to give it a 6.5 as well. I think that's what you gave it, Brian.
I see a theme.
Yeah,
yes.
I'm gonna give it that. It was all right. Again, it was about, okay, this is something no one's ever made a movie about. All right, cool. Oh, look at all these different guns and everything. But other than that, I was just kind of like, eh. So with a 6.5, I will pass it on to Nate.
okay. Yeah, I mean, like you guys have kind of said a lot of the stuff. I think the thing I'm going to say the most is that the props I really liked. The cinematography was okay, but I can definitely see where the music video kind of framing comes from. The cinematographer, I think, is of not the same caliber, like not all music videos, but definitely lower budget-esque type of TV to, TV and movie stuff. And I think that's where I kind of have that feeling of it being kind of lower budget. But I think, again, the thing that really speaks to me is that the ignoring of, battle conditions and battle physics, the more and more I watch it, the more and more I'm like, this is, and I think I'd mentioned it with Chris, it's like this is skirting on like Commando 80s era, where it's like, not really, but like if you look at it as a physics lesson, it's following the same action hero kind of thing. And again, this isn't a slight on the movie, but it's something that I can't ignore. And but I really like it. I do like it, and I like the acting, and I like the idea, and I like the theme, and I like the props, and I like everything. I think the ratio to CG and practical was pretty good, but there was more CG that I'd like to see. And the shots that are like pure CG are like, you can tell it's pure CG. And so, I don't know. I feel like I'm nitpicking, but to be honest, I think it hovers around like a 7 for me. Like, I can't give it a 5 because I enjoy it. I enjoy the thing. I enjoy the subject. I enjoy the props. I enjoyed the acting. I enjoyed the story. But I did feel like it lacked a lot of things. So yeah, I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10 Screaming Mel Gibsons. So yeah, not terrible, not great, but I like it more than I hated it. So, Mike B.
Yeah, you guys have already hit a lot of good points. One thing that I did like about this and why my score is not going to be lower than what I was thinking is the human aspect of it. There was a lot of good interaction, like human-wise. The major was not a conceited prick. I don't know what the hell the rank is. The senior NCO, whatever the fuck that is. The 2 bacon strips is what the Irish call them. Bacon strips. With the crown, or not the crown, the whatever. Anyway, that guy played a very good senior NCO, and so the other NCOs. That was good stuff. The home life thing, it wasn't overdone. That was good stuff. At the beginning, it kind of showed it. It was humanity there. Action scenes, yeah. Again, it's been said, but I'm going to say it again. It was a really, really cinematic and whatever. Weaponry. Pretty damn good. Very cool to see all these different weapons because that's what would have been there. And so that was really cool. And the uniforms, I don't know about the Irish uniforms at this point, so like I'm not going to comment on how accurate or inaccurate they were, but like they looked fine as somebody that doesn't know jack shit about that. The mercs, they all had a bunch of shit on. There was one M81 woodland blouse in there that we didn't see that, and I don't want you to replay the movie. It's not worth the time. But just little shit like that. But like you got a bunch of extras. What do you expect? Yeah, and the cinematography in general was okay, but it was like, again, not top notch. It was entertaining for sure. It got its point across, and it again, like I keep saying on all these things, is like it takes a subject that nobody knows about, and people might just go and like actually research that and go, oh, this did happen, and yes, the UN did fuck these guys, and it got they were pencil fucked by politicians because of egos and whatever. And so, yeah, cool. That's all I can ask for. And so, but with that, wasn't the greatest, wasn't also, it's far from the worst. So I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10.
Decent. So, yeah, let's see if this plane can actually hit something. Oh, I can't do math, I guess.
Thank you for watching this episode.
Who would have guessed? Yeah. Catch you guys next week. Nathan, speed this up.
No.
6.55. So.
Cool. Average.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's a movie.
Yep. I would recommend it.
Yeah, I would too.
It's interesting. Yeah. It's not like I would say don't fucking waste your time, but
it's worth checking out.
Yes. That's a good way to put. That's a really good way to put it.
I think the acting kind of sets it higher than it normally would.
Mm-hmm.
I think they did get the the dude above the general, like that actually is a well-known actor, and so it's not like just some Joe Schmoes, but like overall the acting is good, I would say.
Yep, I would agree.
Yeah, it's definitely a film worth watching. And yeah, well, thanks for joining us, Chris. It was very interesting to learn what the call sign for the mega death laser is in space. So if I ever hook that up on my police scanner, then I'll make sure to drive in a different direction.
Nah, if you ever pick it up in your police scanner, you're already dead. Just die happy, I guess.
I'm gonna put on some Credence, just fucking rock out.
Yep.
So
Ronald. Oh shit! Again, sorry. Ronald's acting up, but yeah, sorry. Fuck you, Ronald.
no worries.
He's right here looking at me, screeching. So
Ronald the Bee Man. So anyway,
Ronald's
thanks for joining us, guys, and we'll catch you next week. And don't forget, breathe, squeeze, kill, and breathe again.
yeah.
Ronald the Boomer.
Forgot about that. All right.
Thanks for joining us. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to leave a rating. Otherwise, Mel Gibson won't stop screaming. If you like this content, make sure to check out our Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram pages. If you want to directly support our work, make sure to check out our Patreon. All these links are in the description below. Until the next time, Scuttlebutt out. Cool. So everybody's ready?
I'm ready.
Yeah,
piss
I'm
breaks
gonna eventually
in
have to get up. I forgot my fucking water, but let's just get started. I'll just say I have to take a piss. I'll
Do
just
you
get my
want
water when I
to
take a piss.
go get your
go
water?
get it.
It's fine.
You guys can't hear my fucking cat, can you?
Yes, we can.
I
yeah,
can, yeah.
definitely.
Ah, fucking A.
Yeah.
Vladimir, shut up!
Go get the duct tape.
Yep. I'll be back in a minute. You motherfucker!